Chapter 1712. When Yun saw that her child was dead, her eyes widened and her eyes turned bloodshot. She let out a chuckle as her lips trembled, unable to say a word. Finally, she fainted. She probably couldn't accept the fact that her children had been killed in such a cruel manner. Ning Shu looked at Nangong. This person killed demons like they were chickens. He treated demons as though they were creatures at the bottom of the food chain. Humans and demons both believed themselves to be the noblest. Snake King's eyes turned scarlet when he saw his two children die in front of him. His body grew larger and larger as though he wanted to break the rope. Snake King roared as his eyes turned scarlet. Tears of blood flowed out of his eyes. "I want all of you to be buried with my children. You must be buried with them. Eagle, you've also seen how humans treat demons. If you go against me again today, I will not rest until you die. Furthermore, I will blame the death of my child on you. Everyone present must die." The Snake King was extremely angry, and pain filled his internal organs. The flames of hatred burned Snake King's mind. Snake King spat out a demon as it spun rapidly. An extremely powerful demonic power erupted from the demon. Everyone die. The Demon King wished he could destroy the world. The demon spun rapidly, but in the blink of an eye, the demon disappeared. Yes, it disappeared. Snake King's roar came to an abrupt halt as he remained in a daze for a long time. At that moment, a finger snap was heard. Everyone felt their eyes light up as though they had suddenly woken up. Snake King was bound by the demon binding rope, but the two little snakes in his arms were still alive. Nangong stood beside the female chief as she took out a small leather bag to store the demon. Ning Shu was a little dumbfounded. What happened just now? Was it an illusion? Was it an environment set up by the female chief? Could this be her attack method? The melon seeds in Ning Shu's hand exploded in fright. He had to be careful with such a calm attack. Snake King was also dumbfounded. His demon had been snatched away. The female chief said to Nangong, "Finish off Snake King. Leaving him alive is always a disaster." In particular, the Snake King could control 10,000 snakes. If these snakes gathered together, it would have a great impact on the city. Snake King gritted his teeth and said, "You cheated." Nangong walked over and took out the two little snakes from Snake King's bosom. Just like in the illusion, he dismembered the two little snakes. One had to know that this was not an illusion. It was real. The two little snakes were the Snake King's children. If the Snake King died, they had the highest chance of becoming the next Snake King. And Yun had fainted when she saw the illusion, and now she couldn't even see her child for the last time. The Snake King was dumbfounded. His demon had been tricked by a cunning human, and his child had died twice in front of him. It was enough to deal a blow to the Snake King's arrogant heart. Had people become so powerful these days? Without the demon, Snake King basically had no hope of turning the tables. The Snake King looked at Ning Shu with hatred. If it wasn't for this stupid eagle, he wouldn't have been trapped here, and the things that happened later wouldn't have happened. Ning Shu was stared at by the Snake King with hatred. He spread his hands and said, "I didn't expect it anyway. I thought you could kill them, but it seemed that the female director was too powerful." After the item was recovered, the female director was in the mood to talk to Ning Shu. "Come with me to the investigation bureau." Ning Shu took 2 steps back and said with a smile, "You can say anything here. There's no need to go to the investigation bureau." The female director tilted her head and said with a hint of innocence, "What are you afraid of?" "Sister, should I kill the Snake King first and then skin him or thin him first?" Nangong Chao asked the female director. The female director turned to Nangong Chao and said, "Kill him first. Don't drag it out. If you drag it out, it will be easy for something to happen." Ning Shu looked at the female director and felt that she had placed all her attention on him. After dealing with the Snake King, was it her turn now? She should also be the female director's target. Ning Shu pointed with her finger, and the temperature in the room gradually rose. The snake that was frozen to the point that it couldn't move slowly began to recover. The temperature in the room was getting higher and higher, and the water turned into steam. These snakes hissed and spat out their tongues as they swam around the room. The female director looked at the densely packed snakes and frowned. She looked at Ning Shu and asked, "What do you mean by this?" Although the Snake King was tied up, these snakes had awakened, and he had some small soldiers under him who could command them. The Snake King hissed and spat out his tongue, commanding these snakes to attack the people from the investigation bureau. Nangong Chao stood in front of the female director and blocked wave after wave of snake attacks for her. There was a water wall in front of Ning Shu. These small snakes couldn't get close to Ning Shu at all. They were blocked by the water wall. Ning Shu observed the female director. It seemed that her illusion could only target creatures with thoughts, emotions, desires, and weaknesses. Now, these small snakes that relied on their instincts to survive couldn't use illusions. The female director looked at Ning Shu with her hands behind her back. "What do you mean?" He had been trying to smooth things over. It didn't seem like he was on the Snake King's side and deliberately let the frozen snakes wake up for the Snake King to control. He seemed to be wary of her as well. Should the female director say that this person was sensitive or vigilant? Ning Shu said honestly, "Sister, I actually don't want to go to the investigation bureau at all. I want to live." The female director said helplessly, "When did I want your life? You must be paranoid. Why would I want your life for no reason? Why would I want this feud for no reason?" Ning Shu blinked her eyes. If that was the case, it seemed that she was measuring the heart of a gentleman with her own mean measure. Then why do you have to go to the investigation bureau? Ning Shu spread his hands and said, "I'm really afraid that I won't be able to come out if I go in. That place is not gentle to monsters at all." Nangong stood in front of the female director and killed the snakes. The female director and Ning Shu stood opposite each other. It felt a little peaceful. The female bureau chief suddenly smiled. "You're really sensitive. You actually don't want to go just because you don't want to. You're so scared. I'm starting to look down on you. I thought you were someone I could cooperate with. Forget it." Ning Shu wasn't angry. Provocation didn't work on her. On the contrary, it was precisely because of this that Ning Shu was somewhat certain that this person might have come for her, or even for her law imprint. He didn't know whether the core in a woman's body was a man or a woman. Ning Shu could become a man, but that didn't mean that male mission enforcers couldn't become women. From now on, not only would she have to fight with the people in the mission world, but she would also have to fight with her colleagues. Because the things on her were too tempting. It seemed that she would have to exchange for more amulets in the future. Even if she failed the mission and was erased, there would be amulets to protect her. The path of the strong was difficult, but Ning Shu was fearless. Chapter 1713. Ning Shu felt that he might have met someone familiar. It was definitely someone who knew him or someone he had met once. Ning Shu maintained his composure as he confronted and dealt with the female director. Without knowing the other party's background, Ning Shu wouldn't act rashly. This was especially so for mission enforcers who were colleagues. They might meet frequently in the future. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he wouldn't let the situation turn tense. If it turned tense, he could only do as he pleased. The female director smiled at Ning Shu. It was the kind of smile that indicated that she had the pearl of wisdom in her hands. It made Ning Shu a little unhappy. "If you smile, I'll smile too." Ning Shu also grinned and smiled calmly. "Let's all laugh together." The female director, Nangong Xiaotian, seemed to have been injected with chicken blood as he killed all the snakes in the room. He wanted to show off his abilities and muscles in front of the female director. After killing for a while, he asked the female director, "Sis, do you think I look good killing them?" Then, the female director nodded with a doting expression and agreed. Ning Shu looked at Snake King. Snake King's body shrank as he tried to escape the rope. However, as his body shrank, the rope remained firmly tied to his body. Furthermore, as Snake King's body shrank, the rope tightened. The rope was originally used to tie In Yuyun together. With this tightening, In Yuyun spat out a mouthful of blood. The unconscious In Yuyun woke up and looked at the dead snakes in the room. She thought of her dead son and her face turned ashen. She was in a daze. Her child was dead. And Yuyun stared at the genius demon hunter, Nangong, who was trying his best to act cool in front of the female director. You killed my child. You killed my child. And Yu Yun roared at Nangong. Nangong scratched his head and asked in puzzlement, "What child? Where is the child?" Nangong looked around and didn't see any children. There were no children, but piles of dead snakes. And Yu Yun vomited blood from anger at the straightforward Nangong. Ning Shu kindly explained, "It's the two black and white snakes you killed. They're her children." Nangong was stunned for a moment. He smiled and said, "Don't joke around. How can a human have children with a monster?" And Yu Yun was furious. She glared at Nangong with hatred. Nangong was the only one who could make Yu Yun so angry. Nangong's expression turned serious when he saw Yu Yun's reaction. That's why people say that women are troublesome. She has the mentality of a little woman all day long. She doesn't care about her race at all. She even has an illicit relationship with a snake. Is she trying to give birth to a demon's offspring? Sister, I'm not talking about your feminine mentality. You are the most charming and courageous woman I've ever seen. Ordinary women can't compare to you. Nangong stepped on Yu Yun and then flattered the female director. Ning Shu was speechless. What kind of situation was this? All right, it seemed like he had been stuffed with dog food. What do you know? What does a cold and heartless person like you know? No matter what they are my children. What does a cold and heartless person like you know about feelings? Do you know what love is? You are just cold executioners, and Yu Yun shouted with tears streaming down her face. Her voice was heart-wrenching and full of accusation. Nangong scratched his head with a baffled look. He looked at the female director. What is she saying? She is saying that you don't know about feelings, love, or the true feelings of others. You are a cold and heartless executioner, said the female director indifferently. Nangong rolled his eyes. I am an executioner. I can directly destroy your feelings and love. What can you do to me? Fucking retard. You enjoy the peace that others have exchanged for with their lives, and then you say that others are cruel. You are really fucking retards. Why are there so many retards who only know about feelings and love? Nangong despised Yu Yun. Don't talk to me about demons and humans coexisting peacefully. If you have the ability to make demons listen to you, I'll kneel down in front of you and call you Grandaunt. I was born to kill demons. Nangong put his hands on his hips and pointed his thumb at himself. Ning Shu felt that Nangong's ability to shoot his mouth off was amazing. He was full of sarcasm, and Ning Shu was convinced. It was still the same saying. There was no such thing as peace and quiet. There were only people who carried the burden for you. A lot of peace was obtained through the protection and sacrifice of others. Who didn't want to live the life they wanted? They wanted to marry a peerless hero, but they also wanted the peerless hero to become soft and tender. It was difficult to take care of everyone and a small family. Ning Shu felt that a person's breadth of mind had to be bigger. One had to stand high and see far to know how big the world was. And Yu Yun's face was pale. She was so angry at Nangong that she fainted. Nangong held the dagger and stabbed it into Snake King's body. Blood splattered out. I'm a cold-blooded executioner. Nangong Chao smiled at Yu Yun. I hate women like you the most. I like women like Big Sister. Ning Shu glanced at the female director. Yes, genius Nangong's taste was mature and mature. Ning Shu watched as he moved towards the window, preparing to retreat. Snake King's body was stabbed by the dagger. He grunted and spat a mouthful of venom at Nangong. Nangong did a somersault to avoid the venom. The venom splattered on the ground and sizzled. Snake King spat out his snake tongue. Do you really think that I'm someone who can be defeated so easily? Even if there are no demons, what can you do to me? Nangong smiled and said, I knew that Snake King wasn't that simple. I would definitely be prepared. You know that humans are best at using tools. Nangong took out his gun. This is a new weapon that has been developed recently. The bullet can completely penetrate your scales. As Nangong spoke, he fired a shot at Snake King. Not only did the bullet penetrate Snake King's body, but it also hit the wall and went deep into the wall. 2 bloody holes appeared on Snake King's body as he bled profusely. Are you all right? How are you? and Yu Yun immediately asked in tears when she saw that Snake King had been shot. Nothing must happen to you. Snake King endured the pain and stared at Nan Gong. Punk, I'll remember you. I'll remember your Nan Gong family. Nan Gong nodded. Oh, you must be seeking revenge on the Nan Gong family, right? The Nan Gong family has always been hated by demons. There are quite a number of demons seeking revenge on the Nan Gong family. One won't make a difference. However, to save me the trouble, I'll still kill you. Nan Gong pressed the gun against Snake King's body and fired a few more shots. The bullets were extremely lethal. Furthermore, they were fired against the body. Why do you have to go to this extent? Why can't you let us go? Why can't you let us go? And Yu Yun roared angrily at Nan Gong. He was practically a devil. He was torturing and killing people. Let him go. Once he recovers, I'll be the unlucky one. Are you stupid? Of course I'll kill him. And Yu Yun was an ordinary woman. First, she had been swept into the world of demons. Now, such a situation where her life was at stake left her dumbfounded. Chapter 17:14. No matter how much Yu Yun begged, Nan Gong was indifferent. Every time Yu Yun said something, Nan Gong would shoot at Snake King. And Yu Yun was so scared that she didn't dare to speak. And Yu Yun felt that Nan Gong was a big pervert. Nan Gong felt that Yu Yun was simply a weirdo. She didn't seem to have any sense of right and wrong. In comparison, Nan Gong felt that his sister was so cool. Seeing this, Ning Shu silently took a step back. She was made of flesh and blood. She couldn't take a bullet. The female director walked to Ning Shu with her hands behind her back. Ning Shu asked, "Miss, what's the matter?" The female director looked at Ning Shu. "I think you are a talent. Go to the investigation bureau to work. Food and accommodation will be provided. Monsters have big appetites. The investigation bureau will provide food. What do you think? Even if you don't do it for yourself, you should think about your client." Ning Shu said, I need time to think about it." "What's there to think about? Do you think I'll trick you?" The female bureau chief leaned against the window with her arms crossed in front of her chest and said leisurely. Her every move was charming. Her long legs looked particularly good wrapped in leather pants. Ning Shu pushed his glasses and said, "Actually, I'm really afraid you'll trick me." Snake King was a lesson for her. Now, there were probably dozens of holes in Snake King's body. Killing Demon Master Nan Gong was like playing a game. Ning Shu felt that Nan Gong was scaring and threatening her. Ning Shu's expression didn't change. He said to the female director, "Your illusion is good." She had fooled everyone. "Every mission taker has their own skills to survive," the female director said lightly. After eating countless bullets, Snake King finally died. His body was densely packed with bullet holes. And they were very neat row after row. It was completely Nan Gong's bad taste. And Yu Yun was completely dumbfounded. First, her child died. After being chased by monsters, she left the eggshell in her body. The child she had painstakingly given birth to died. After the child died, her father also died. A huge snake lay next to her. And Yu Yun looked as if she had been struck by lightning. Her lips trembled and her eyes glazed over. Nan Gong withdrew the demon binding rope and saluted the female director. "Sister, mission accomplished. Be good. Tie him up for me as well. Bring him back to the bureau to make a file." The female bureau chief walked to the side and said to Nan Gong, "I promise to complete the mission." Nan Gong said straightforwardly. Ning Shu was speechless. "And tie her up?" The demon binding rope attacked Ning Shu, trying to bind Ning Shu. Ning Shu would never let the rope get close to him. Snake King was bound by the rope and had no way of fighting back. Ning Shu was afraid that he would fall into the illusion of the female director, so he bit his tongue hard. Ning Shu held onto the rope while Nan Gong held onto the other end. The two of them tugged and tugged at each other, neither of them willing to let go. Ning Shu thought about it and decided that it was the safest to hold on to the immortal binding rope like this. Nan Gong tugged at the rope. "Let go." Ning Shu said, "I'd be an idiot to let go." Nan Gong smiled mischievously. If you like to tug, then tug. Nangong suddenly let go. His end of the rope came around, trying to bind Ning Shu. Ning Shu was shocked. If he was tied up, he would really be at the mercy of others. Ning Shu pointed at the rope and a layer of ice immediately covered the rope. Ning Shu froze the rope. Soon, the ice on the demon binding rope was shaken off. An ice wall appeared in front of Ning Shu, blocking the rope. Ning Shu quickly jumped out of the window and flew out of the water curtain barrier. Ning Shu pointed his finger at the water veil barrier, and the water veil instantly became thicker. I'll return the favor. Come out of the barrier if you can. Ning Shu laughed and turned into a mountain eagle, ready to fly away. The female director leaned against the window and looked up at Ning Shu. If you want to be wanted by the FBI and the entire country, you'd better keep running. Ning Shu said, You're really sinister. You're using your position. It'd be a waste not to use it. Let me tell you, if you dare to run, you'll be waiting for the country's A-level arrest warrant. You might not be able to stay in the human world. Let me think, what crime should I charge you with? Rapist, murderer, or serial murderer? The female director seemed to be very distressed. Ning Shu was speechless. If you do this, I'll have to suspect your intentions. You really seem to be targeting me. Ning Shu stared at the female director. The female director pointed at the water curtain and it broke. Let me tell you, I'm good at things like barriers and illusions. Let me tell you, seduction isn't just for seducing men. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes. You're slow. You only recognized me now. The female director propped up her chin and looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu thought for a moment, his mind turning 1,000 times. Finally, he said, What a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. I'm here specifically to find you. I've taken a fancy to your nomological imprint. Hong Yu pointed at Ning Shu's forehead. Ning Shu smiled. You're really straightforward. You've stated your purpose so bluntly. Do you have absolute confidence? Yes, I have this confidence. I won't hide my purpose at all. I've taken a fancy to your water nomological law. It'd be best if you could give it to me. If you can't, I can only snatch it, Hong Yu said calmly. She didn't seem to feel that there was anything wrong. Only people of the same level were worthy of being angry and concerned. In Hong Yu's heart, Ning Shu was clearly not on the same level. It was natural for her to want Ning Shu's things. To be able to compare with Ah Wan, she must be a capable person. Ning Shu said very calmly, You want the water nomological law because you want to compete with Ah Wan, right? According to the Cheongsam man, Hong Yu had comprehended a very obscure nomological law. If she obtained the water nomological law, she would have the ability to compete with Ah Wan's fire nomological law. Hong Yu treated Ah Wan as a competitor. When the two of them fought, Ning Shu became the sacrificial lamb. This was because Ning Shu had the water nomological imprint, which happened to be what Hong Yu needed. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. When I didn't obtain the nomological imprint, you could have just gone and comprehended the water nomological law. Now that I've comprehended it, you actually want to snatch it from me. Can't you be a little more honest? Hong Yu said, I was trying to comprehend it, but you beat me to it. Is that my fault? Ning Shu shrugged. It's not your fault. Something like comprehension can't be obtained through jealousy. However, the nomological imprint does exist. This kind of thing can be snatched, Hong Yu said bluntly. Ning Shu let out a long sigh. I look so weak. Even if I want to snatch something, I can't be bothered to find a reason. Find a fig leaf? Hong Yu blinked. Yes, we're all mission enforcers who have seen the world. We can't be bothered to act like a whore and set up a monument to her chastity. Ning Shu gave her a thumbs up. You're so direct that I don't know what to say. He didn't need a fig leaf because he didn't put her on an equal footing. Chapter 1715. Her first mission after obtaining the law imprint was to encounter a mission enforcer who wanted to steal her law. Moreover, it was Hong Yu. This was what Hong Yu meant when she said that they should work together to complete missions. How did Hong Yu know which world she was in? Hong Yu was one of them. Were there others? Ning Shu faced Hong Yu calmly. Ever since she obtained the law incarnation, She had been prepared for this. If you want to protect your own things, you have to work hard. Moreover, you have to have great strength. To forge iron, you have to be tough. Ning Shu stepped on a thin cloud and looked down at Hong Yu condescendingly. Do you think I'll let you take my things away obediently? No one is willing to have their things taken away. You'll definitely struggle, but I advise you not to struggle. It's useless. It's all in vain. Hong Yu said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu rolled his eyes and said, I remember that the law imprint will only peel off when I'm dead. So, you want to kill me? Hong Yu smiled, giving off a feeling of peerless beauty. Every frown and smile was magnificent. That's right. So, you want to kill me? Ning Shu tilted his head and asked like a curious baby. But I remember that you don't have the right to kill mission enforcers. Hong Yu's relaxed state showed that she did not take Ning Shu seriously at all, nor did she consider Ning Shu to be on the same level. Hong Yu said, there are some items in the shop. There are too many items to choose from. Ning Shu gave a flat and asked again, then I'm quite honored to have you spend so much money to exchange for an item to kill me. However, can I ask if this item can completely kill me? Hong Yu's red lips opened slightly. I've already offended you and stolen your things. Since I've already offended someone, I have to completely eliminate them. No matter how small a nail is, it will still hurt and bleed. If it were you, what would you do? Ning Shu nodded. I would do the same. Cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots is the right way. But I also want to fight back. Maybe I can kill them instead. Ning Shu said with a smile. Hong Yu glanced at Ning Shu. There are 3 illusions in life. My phone vibrates, she likes me, and I can fight back. Those are just illusions. Ning Shu smiled. I like your sense of humor. If she was really killed by the item, even the amulet wouldn't be able to save her. Ning Shu tilted her head and looked at Hong Yu. Perhaps her career as a mission enforcer would end in Hong Yu's hands. This was Ning Shu's first encounter with a powerful mission enforcer. Ning Shu chuckled, Hong Yu, you're talking so much with me because you're afraid of my strength. They were all testing each other. She was the law incarnation of the law of water, so she still had a certain degree of deterrence. Hong Yu nodded. I'm afraid of the law of water. After all, it's a powerful law. However, I'm guessing that you don't dare to use your law wantonly. If you cause a plane disaster, the law incarnation of the law of wind and thunder will serve as a warning to you. Especially the law of water. Once you lose control, the consequences will not be small. Water and fire are the easiest laws to lose control of. Hong Yu raised her head and looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu sighed. I'm a person who loves my life too much. I can't always put all my eggs in one basket. But when it comes to putting all my eggs in one basket, I'll drag at least one person down with me. Only then will I not be at a disadvantage. Hong Yu smiled. Compared to Awan's arrogance, you seem to be more ruthless. Awan prides herself on being a noble woman and never kills people easily. You, on the other hand, seem to be passionate about killing people. How did you comprehend the law of water, which is on the gentle side? Ning Shu was speechless. She made it sound like a murderous demon. Aren't you preparing to kill people now? All right, you're getting impatient after talking so much. Then, let's meet again. No, perhaps we won't have the chance to meet again. Hong Yu took out a tool. The tool was a nail. It was silver white and shone with a cold light. This thing looked familiar. Ning Shu felt that he had seen this nail somewhere before. This is a soul nail? Ning Shu asked. Back then, she had wanted to exchange for this thing to kill Zhang Jiasen. However, it seemed to be an evil tool, so Ning Shu gave up on it. The soul nail would pierce into the soul and absorb a person's soul power. The soul power would be absorbed by the soul nail. It was a tool that could rob others of their soul power. As long as one was in a soul state, they would not be able to escape the soul nail. Moreover, the soul power in the soul nail could be used by the user. This soul nail was equivalent to an energy converter. This isn't a soul nail. If you want to call it a soul nail, you can call it a soul nail. It's an improved version of the soul nail. The soul nail can only slowly convert soul power, but this tool can instantly exterminate the soul. Moreover, it will accomplish its mission. It's useless even if you run to the ends of the earth. Ning Shu, you're not only taking my law imprint, but you're also taking my soul power and soul origin. I don't care about your soul power. Soul power that hasn't been processed is too impure. Your soul origin is still somewhat valuable. Hong Yu said casually, completely ignoring Ning Shu's rolling eyes. Ning Shu looked at the nail in Hong Yu's hand and felt his soul origin tremble slightly. He couldn't help but tremble in the face of danger. Ning Shu smiled slightly. If worst comes to worst, I'll just go for broke. You're not the only one who's prepared. Ning Shu used a thick water barrier to protect himself. I already said that barriers and illusions are for me to play with. Hong Yu pointed her finger and broke Ning Shu's protective barrier. Ning Shu wasn't angry. He looked at the nail flying towards him and erected an ice wall in front of him. The nail directly pierced through the ice wall and flew towards Ning Shu's face. Ning Shu tilted his head, and the nail brushed past Ning Shu's earlobe. Ning Shu's ear bled. The nail that flew out actually turned around and flew towards Ning Shu. Sure enough, the mission was accomplished. She was the nail's target, and the mission was to kill her. Ning Shu had no choice but to deal with this tool. If the nail really pierced his body and soul, he would really be killed. From then on, there would no longer be a mission enforcer called Ning Shu. Her path to becoming a powerhouse would be forced to stop, and she would even lose her life. Ning Shu clenched his cheeks. What he had experienced in the past was nothing. From now on, his future world would become more dangerous, more exciting, and more vast. Ning Shu dodged the nail and pointed at Hong Yu. Even if I can't kill you, I can still make you uncomfortable. Let's hurt each other. If I don't have a good time, then the people who hurt me won't have a good time either. Hong Yu seemed to kindly remind him, you should still pay attention to the nail. If it pierces you, your soul will scatter. Chapter 17:16. Hong Yu sat calmly on the fishing platform as she watched Ning Shu being entangled by the nail, unable to fend for herself. Hong Yu smiled faintly, but the smile on her face stiffened as she frowned. Ping-a-ping-ping. Hong Yu's blood vessels all burst as blood gushed out of her body like water pillars. Her skin was not in good condition at all. Her heart pounded violently as if it had lost its rhythm. Finally, with its thing sound, her heart exploded. Hong Yu instantly turned into a bloody person. You have some ability. Hong Yu, whose heart had exploded, could still speak. She sighed. The water law imprint is really a good thing. However, you can't escape from this nail. I didn't lose to you, I lost to the water law. Hong Yu stopped breathing as she fell to the ground. You lost to me. Who told me to become the law incarnation? If you don't like it, just hold it in. Hong Yu was dead, but the nail was still chasing Ning Shu relentlessly. The nail's goal was to pierce Ning Shu's body. How can I get rid of this nail? Fuck, this is such a scam. The person who set up the illusion was dead, and the illusion was broken. Nangong Xiaoyan, who was immersed in the illusion, also woke up. Seeing the bloody person on the ground, he did not dare to recognize her. The person who was talking to him just a moment ago was now a dead person? Hong Yu previously spoke to Ning Shu without restraint because she had set up a beautiful illusion for Nangong. Now that Hong Yu was dead, the illusion was also broken. Sister, who killed you? Who killed you? Nangong looked at Ning Shu. It's you. I'm going to kill you. Kill you, damn monster. Ning Shu was entangled by the nail, which chased her tirelessly. It would not stop until it reached its goal. Furthermore, Ning Shu was looking at her with bloodshot eyes. The beam of hatred was enough to kill Ning Shu. Nangong took out the demon binding rope and wanted to tie Ning Shu up. Ning Shu was very annoyed. If she was really entangled, the nail would definitely pierce into her body, and she would be completely finished. Ning Shu pointed his finger at Nangong, and Nangong followed in Hong Yu's footsteps. Blood rushed out of his body, and his heart exploded into a pile of minced meat. The Nangong clan was a big problem. The Nangong clan was a famous monster hunter. Being entangled by the Nangong clan was a big problem. Furthermore, she could not be tied up by the demon binding rope. Once she was tied up, she would be finished. Nangong fell to the ground with his eyes wide open. His eyeballs were filled with blood and tears of blood flowed out. There was only one living person left in the room, and that was an Yuyun, who had no strength to truss a chicken but had survived until now. And Yuyun saw the two people suddenly explode. Blood splattered everywhere. She was so scared that her whole body trembled. She grabbed her hair and curled up into a ball, trembling uncontrollably. She kept mumbling about the child and the Snake King. She was crying and laughing at the same time. The room was in chaos. There were either corpses or snakes. At a glance, there was blood everywhere. And Yuyun hugged her head, and her eyes were a little unfocused. Ning Shu really could not think of a suitable way to deal with the nail. If he did not deal with the nail, she would be obliterated and disappear. Ning Shu was so anxious that cold sweat rolled down his forehead. This was a moment of life and death. What could he do? What could he do? Looking at the nail, Ning Shu rushed into the room through the window. He picked up the female director's corpse on the ground and threw it at the nail. Did this thing have to nail a person before it would stop? Then he might as well treat a dead horse as a living one. There was no harm in giving it a try. The nail pierced the female director's body and penetrated it. Ning Shu rushed over. Ning Shu was speechless. What the fuck? Could it be that this thing had a program? Like a cannonball, it could specify where to fire? Why was it chasing after her? Ning Shu threw Nangong's corpse over, but it was still penetrated by the nail. The target was still Ning Shu. Did he really have to kneel here today? Moreover, Ning Shu was not sure if Hong Yu would come back. Although he had left the female director's body, he could not guarantee that she would not re-enter this plane to check on his results. Moreover, Hong Yu could accurately find the plane he was in. How did she do it? Ning Shu's heart thumped wildly. All the hair on his body stood on end. All the muscles on his body were trembling. Cold sweat flowed into Ning Shu's eyes. Ning Shu did not dare to blink at all. His eyeballs were sore from the sweat. He did not dare to be careless at all. Ning Shu stood in front of the wall. Behind him was a wall. Ning Shu stood still. The shadow of the nail coming towards him was reflected in his pupils. Ning Shu tilted her head and her body slanted. The nail shot into the wall and couldn't come out. Ning Shu let out a long breath. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He did not dare to relax because the nail was vibrating and was about to come out. Ning Shu sprayed some water on the wall and froze the entire wall. This could temporarily trap the nail. The nail was more than 10 centimeters long. It was extremely sharp. If it pierced into a person's body, it could instantly destroy their soul. Fuck, the items in the exchange store were fucking perverted. Not only was there a huge pit, but it was also very perverted. Moreover, Hong Yu was a person with a background. It was hard to guarantee that she would not have any special privileges. What if there was another thing? What could he do to destroy this thing? I found a treasure. Do you want to recycle it? 2333's voice sounded in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu was stunned for a moment. He understood what 2333 meant. Recycle it. Using the power of the system to get the nail away, he could even get some money. He gave 2333 a thumbs up for his wit. Ning Shu pointed his finger. The ice on the wall cracked. The nail vibrated and came out of the wall. Ning Shu turned around. Don't move. 2333 said. Ning Shu nodded. Seeing the nail flying towards him, it was a bit difficult to stand still. However, out of trust for 2333, Ning Shu stood still and watched the nail fly towards his forehead. However, the nail stopped an inch away from Ning Shu's forehead. It kept spinning and finally disappeared. Ning Shu's body went limp. He sat on the ground and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. His limbs were weak. Ning Shu asked 2333, "How much is this thing worth?" 1500 faith power. Of course, this is the recycling price. The original price was 3000. 2333 said. Ning Shu was speechless. The exchange store was really greedy. The recycling price was cut in half. However, It was not bad to get 1500 faith power for free. Can all items be recycled like this? Ningshu asked 2333. It's just that this thing has no owner now. If the quest giver is still in this world, the system cannot recycle it. What a loophole. Ningshu sighed. He felt really tired. The item in the exchange store was actually a cheat for the quest giver. Chapter 1717. As long as one had enough power of faith and merit, one could exchange for items in the exchange store. However, merit and power of faith were very difficult to obtain. Without merit and power of faith, one could only look at these items and drool. In fact, it wasn't considered cheating. After all, merit and power of faith were obtained through hard work and were very rare. Ningshu sat on the ground and couldn't get up for a long time. After fighting for the entire night, the sky was slightly brighter as sunlight poured out. Ningshu stood up. It seemed like this room was no longer habitable. Ningshu saw En Yuyun squatting in the corner, her body trembling. She walked over and pushed En Yuyun. En Yuyun was so frightened that her body convulsed when someone touched her. She trembled like a sieve and shouted nervously, "I don't want to. Don't kill me. Child, don't leave me. I'm afraid." En Yuyun's eyes were unfocused as she muttered to herself. She hugged a pile of dead snakes in her arms and called for her child. Ningshu covered his nose. The smell on En Yuyun's body was really unbearable. "Hey, En Yuyun, what's wrong with you?" Ningshu asked En Yuyun. En Yuyun didn't seem to hear Ningshu's words. She was humming a strange song as she hugged the dead snakes and swayed them around. Ningshu frowned. Could En Yuyun have gone crazy? Because her man and son were dead, she couldn't take the blow and went crazy. Could she be pretending to be crazy? Ningshu reached out and pushed En Yuyun again. "Hey, En Yuyun." En Yuyun was so frightened that she shrank to the foot of the wall. She cried until tears and snot flowed down her face. Her expression was dull and fearful. Her eyes darted around in a daze. She hugged the dead snakes tightly in her arms. "En Yuyun, do you still remember who I am?" Ningshu put his face in front of En Yuyun. En Yuyun immediately lowered her head and clawed at Ningshu's face. Ningshu tilted his head back and looked at the panicked and terrified En Yuyun. Ningshu suddenly held En Yuyun's face in her hands and leaned close to her face. "Can you see who I am?" En Yuyun screamed. Her face was distorted and her body was convulsing. Ningshu let go of En Yuyun's head and frowned at her. He was really crazy. What had happened? Why was he so crazy? Because the child and the man who had spent the night together had died. Ningshu, on the other hand, felt that this was clearly a chance for him to start his life anew, to start living the life of an ordinary person again. Even if she had given birth to a child and had a man before, it was not impossible for her to start over. From then on, he would break away from the world of monsters and live an ordinary life. Ningshu couldn't understand why En Yuyun had gone crazy. It was because his life had been too smooth that he had encountered such a situation, which caused him to break down and go crazy. Ningshu scanned the situation in the room. Other than a few dead people and a room full of snakes, was this scary? From the looks of it, En Yuyun couldn't accept the death of her child and man, which was why she couldn't take it. Ningshu grabbed En Yuyun's wrist as she screamed and struggled to shake off Ningshu's hand. Ningshu held her wrist tightly, preventing her from moving. Ningshu placed his finger on En Yuyun's pulse and carefully felt it. En Yuyun's pulse was clearly chaotic. It was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. Furthermore, her muscles were trembling uncontrollably. Ningshu let go of En Yuyun's wrist. En Yuyun had really gone crazy. Ningshu shook his head and ignored En Yuyun. He found the demon in the bag of the female chief's corpse. Ningshu's finger touched the demon and felt a powerful demonic power. It was very attractive and attracted demons. Ningshu put away the demon and carried Snake King's corpse. He transformed into a huge eagle and flew into the sky. Ningshu had taken the demon and Snake King's corpses because the female chief of the investigation bureau and the genius demon slayer of the Nangong family had died at home. Now that the demon and Snake King had disappeared, Everyone believed that Snake King had run away with the demon. Naturally, they wouldn't suspect her. As for Yuyun, she had already gone crazy. She was immersed in her own world and refused to accept everything in the outside world. She refused to accept any information or harm from the outside world. Ning Shu could understand why Yuyun had gone crazy after losing her 2 children. However, Ning Shu couldn't understand why she had ended up like this because of a man she had spent a night with. Ning Shu didn't want to do anything to Yuyun when she was like this. Furthermore, Yuyun didn't have any direct conflict with her. Previously, she had saved her because of Yuan Liang. Now, she didn't care about Yuyun at all. Humans needed to save themselves. Ning Shu felt that Yuyun could pull herself together. She could leave the world of demons and live a normal life. Perhaps Ning Shu was too cold-blooded and couldn't understand the love between them. Ning Shu carried Snake King's corpse and flew in the sky. However, after flying for a while, he couldn't find a place to land. At a glance, all he could see was a gray cement forest. There was no end to it. This was why demons were forced to live like humans. It was because there was no place to rest. Ning Shu was already tired. Now, he had to carry a huge snake and fly everywhere. Now, Ning Shu needed to find a place to rest. Especially since it was daytime, he couldn't appear in front of humans in his eagle form. Ning Shu slowly flew. He eventually flew out of the city's boundaries. Ning Shu flew until it was dark. He was starving. Although he had water to drink and fasting pills to eat when he was thirsty, Ning Shu's stomach was empty. He felt terrible. After flying until it was dark, he finally found a relatively remote town and a farm. This place had an orchard and a farm. In this era, anyone who owned a farm was a tycoon. Ning Shu hid in the farm and found a place to bury Snake King's corpse. He sat by the stream and looked at the demon. The demon in his hand was filled with power and temptation. Ning Shu propped up his chin and played with the demon absent-mindedly. Demons had the power to tempt people's hearts. If he obtained the demon, he would have to take on the responsibility of the demon. After obtaining the demon, he had to follow a certain mission. The greater the power, the greater the mission. This was the principle. Ning Shu placed the Demon King in a leather bag. The bag isolated the demon's aura. Ning Shu carried the bag on his body. He had to think about where he should go next. Ning Shu didn't plan on using the demon. He carried it with him. As for whether the person who entrusted him with it used it, it had nothing to do with her. After obtaining power for no reason, he had to follow the mission given by the bead. The war between humans and demons would erupt sooner or later. When Ning Shu passed by the orchard, he plucked a peach to eat. "Oh my God, I'm so hungry." Ning Shu looked at the cows in the pen and drooled. When she left, she was in a hurry and didn't even bring her bank card. Should she go home? The people from the investigation bureau had probably found the rental house by now. Chapter 17-18. Taking away the Demon King pill and Snake King's body was to create an illusion. No matter what, she couldn't be involved in this matter. Especially in the face of the power of the country. Before the client came back, it would be best if she didn't cause any trouble. Ning Shu sat on the peach tree, her body covered with a water barrier, making herself invisible. Ning Shu asked 2333, "Do you think Hong Yu will come back to this plane? If she did it again, it would be a trap. Maybe she will. That woman should have a strong background. It's not easy to locate your location in countless planes." 2333's voice was a little heavy. Ning Shu's heart sank. What the hell was this? Could it be that her location could be easily located in the future? We can hide our location so that the main system can't locate us. Most mission takers choose to hide their location. We can do it too. 2333 said. Ning Shu nodded. Then we'll hide our location and information. 2,000 merit points. Ning Shu, fuck you. What do you mean by hiding my location? Ning Shu asked 2333. Actually, it's to let the main system know that there is a mission taker like you. The system doesn't know where you are, but you still have to hand over your soul power. Ning Shu only wanted to say that it was a trap. There was no privacy at all. She didn't even have the right to hide her location, and she still had to pay 2,000 merit points. Go to hell. Ning Shu gritted her teeth. Hide it. Always being located, doing missions was double the difficulty. Not only did she have to complete the mission, but she also had to face the mission taker. If it was a mission taker she could cooperate with, it would be fine. But if it was a mission taker with bad intentions, then Ning Shu's work would be doubled. There was only 1,000 days of being a thief, but not 1,000 days of guarding against a thief. Ning Shu pursed her lips. When necessary, she had to use strong means to prevent others from thinking that she was easy to bully. Anyone could provoke her. She had never killed a mission taker before. Especially a mission taker with a law imprint. Is it blocked? Ning Shu asked. Yeah, it's blocked. When you're doing quests, no one can track your location. 2333 replied. Can I track their location? Ning Shu asked. There was no reason for him to hold back after being taken advantage of. Giving him a taste of his own medicine. You won't be able to locate her. Or rather, I should say that none of the other quest takers can locate the location of other quest takers. That's why I said that woman's background is quite big. If we get her, we might be able to bring out a whole bunch of people. 2333 sighed. Ning Shu pursed his lips. Are we just going to let it go? He was really unwilling to accept this. 2333 said, in the ancient times, those who achieved great things not only had extraordinary talents, but they also had a strong will. They could endure what ordinary people could not endure, and they could achieve what ordinary people could not. Revenge is not in this short period of time. Your foundation is a bit weak compared to this kind of veteran quest taker. In terms of popularity and resources, we can't compare. As quest takers, we have a lot of time. 2333 comforted Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded. I understand. Ning Shu stretched and lay on the tree branch, resting his head on his arms. This quest should be about done. The Snake King was dead, and the demon was in his hands. Ning Shu closed his eyes and took a nap. When he woke up, he saw a white rabbit eating a peach under the tree. It was the kind of peach that fell on the ground. The little white rabbit was white and white. It picked up its ears and cut its arteries and veins. It was so cute. Ning Shu sat on the tree branch and watched the rabbit eat the peach. Rabbits and eagles were natural enemies. Ning Shu held his chin and watched the furry rabbit eat the peach. The rabbit had a demon aura. It was probably a rabbit that had not yet transformed. Ning Shu pointed his finger, and a pool of water fell on the rabbit. The rabbit's fur was instantly wet, and then it shrunk into a ball. The rabbit raised its head and looked around, but it could not see anyone. It also could not see Ning Shu sitting on the tree branch. The little rabbit was very confused. It shook the water off its body, and then its fur became clumps, like a hedgehog. Ning Shu could not help but laugh. What a cute little rabbit. Little rabbit. Ning Shu broke the water curtain covering his body and showed his body. The little rabbit held the peach and turned its head stiffly. Its red eyes looked at Ning Shu. When the little rabbit saw Ning Shu, all its fur stood up. It ran like crazy. A water curtain blocked the little rabbit. The little rabbit was immediately bounced back. It ran in another direction, but it was bounced back again. The little rabbit was like a crazy person. It ran everywhere with its fur standing up. Ning Shu jumped down from the tree and picked up the rabbit. The little rabbit struggled. I just came to eat some peaches. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. The little rabbit said innocently. Its eyes were watery. I'm so weak. These are small. They don't taste good at all. It's useless to eat them. The little rabbit begged Ning Shu for mercy. Ning Shu touched the little rabbit's ears. Don't be afraid. I won't do anything to you. Rabbit. No, I'm afraid. Ning Shu let go of the rabbit. The rabbit immediately ran away. Ning Shu smiled. He picked a peach and wiped it on his body. He leaned against the tree and ate the peach. Mission completed. Do you want to leave the mission world? 2333's voice sounded in Ning Shu's mind. Ning Shu nodded, yes. Ning Shu actually wanted to leave this world a long time ago. He was afraid that Hong Yu would come back. If she left this world, the person who entrusted her would have returned. Hong Yu would have run for nothing. Ning Shu couldn't do anything to Hong Yu now, but it didn't mean that he couldn't do anything to her in the future. Ning Shu's vision blurred. When he opened his eyes again, he was already in the system space. Ning Shu collapsed on the sofa and sighed. He touched the water droplet between his eyebrows. Yes, it was still there. This incident really made Ning Shu's heart palpitate. There would be a lot of things like this in the future. Good luck, Misha. She had come so far. The 99 steps had been completed. The last step had to be completed no matter what. In the past, she faced people in the mission. Now, she had to face her colleagues. It was the same. Whoever wanted to snatch her things, she would chop off the hand that reached out to her. She worked so hard to understand the law. Why should she let others take it? Why should they take it? Ning Shu touched the water droplet between his eyebrows. The more people wanted something, the better it was. The good things belonged to her. Those people would be jealous to death. Ning Shu did a self-construction in his heart. Then, he felt that his whole body was full of energy. Fighting with the heavens and fighting with people was really fun. Chapter 1719. Ning Shu opened the attribute panel and looked at his reward. For this mission, he really put in a lot of effort. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27 level, Super Mission Enforcer Points card, 126, 10 million points for 1 point card. Soul, 3 life, 2 wisdom, 5 luck, 5 charm, 1 mental power, 4 force, 5 qualifications, 2 faith, 900 merit, 315 soul strength, 25 authorization ticket, none law comprehension, none pure heart, loyal heart tools, calm aura, calming pill, faith aura, amulet 4, upgraded amulet 2 honorary titles, goddess of war, selfless ancestor skills, 5th ring shooting technique, intermediate close combat technique, intermediate martial arts, intermediate poison technique, beginner business management knowledge, beginner code, programming, beginner lawyer skill, sage ghost catching skill, beginner cooking skill, intermediate embroidery skill. Aura, mother of the world, queen's blessing, sister model worker, Qinshi's blessing, leader aura, grass blessing, lifelong best friend, Miao Miao Miao's blessing. Life-saving hand, Zhu Su Nyang's blessing, founding female general, Chen Ermiai's blessing, beauty in law, Chen Ning's blessing, bane of the blood clan, Jasmine's blessing, cross-race communication, Bai Sanyang's blessing, brave heart, Wang Ying's blessing, completed mission enforcer Yuan Liang's wish, live, Snake King is not finished. Mission completion rate, 100%. Received mission reward, 5 points card, 5 attribute points, 70% soul power, 3,000 faith, including previous world's accumulation, received an additional 1,500 faith, 2,000 merit for shielding information. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. He didn't lose much from the gains. Ning Shu distributed 1 point of the immovable lightning attribute. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27 level, Super Mission Enforcer Points card, 1265, 10 million points for 1 point card. Soul, 31 life, 21 wisdom, 51 luck, 51 charm, 1 mental power, 4 force, 5 qualifications, 21 faith, 900 merit, 315 soul power, 25 authorization ticket, none law comprehension, none pure heart, loyal heart items, calm halo, tranquilizer, faith halo, amulet 4, upgraded amulet 2. Honorary titles, goddess of war, selfless ancestor skills, 5th ring shooting technique, intermediate close combat technique, intermediate martial arts, intermediate poison technique, beginner business management knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skill, sage ghost catching skill, beginner cooking skill, intermediate embroidery skill. Aura, mother of the world, queen's blessing, sister model worker, Qinshi's blessing, leader aura, grass blessing, lifelong best friend, Miao Miao Miao's blessing. Healer of the dying, Zhu Su Nyang's blessing, founding woman, Chen Ermiai's blessing, beauty in law, Chen Ning's blessing, bane of the blood clan, Jasmine's blessing, communication between races, by Sanyang's blessing, Heart of the Brave, Wang Ying's blessing. After adding the attribute points, Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the sofa and started absorbing the pure soul energy. After absorbing the energy, Ning Shu lay down on the sofa and turned on the screen, intending to check on the situation of the client's return. Ning Shu was more interested in seeing if Hong Yu had gone back. He wanted to see Hong Yu's expression when she failed. Yes, the client, Yuan Liang, used a demon. The power of a demon wasn't something that ordinary people could give up. Ning Shu kept the demon back then to give Yuan Liang the choice. It was better to choose than to be forced to become the child of destiny. However, Ning Shu didn't see Hong Yu despite fast-forwarding. Could it be that Hong Yu didn't return to that world? Instead, he saw in Yu Yun in the mental hospital. He actually didn't come out of his crazed state all this time. Furthermore, Yuan Liang would sneak to see in Yu Yun when he had nothing to do. In the beginning, he would appear in front of Yu Yun as a bird. However, Yu Yun was always immersed in her own world. It was as though her mental world had collapsed and she couldn't recover from it. Later on, Yuan Liang came less often. When he faced Yu Yun, it was like facing a block of wood. No matter how much he talked to her, she would be hugging a doll. No matter what he said, it was useless. Later on, Yuan Liang gradually stopped coming. Furthermore, Yuan Liang controlled the demon and had more important things to do. It seemed that many demons had gathered and were preparing to let Yuan Liang lead them to attack humans. Ning Shu turned off the screen and opened the chat system. Then he opened the chat group. Yes, the group was silent. It was so silent that it was scary. As a newbie in the group, Ning Shu felt very awkward. If he spoke and no one responded to him, that would be awkward. It was like a cold Siberian current. Ning Shu decisively closed the chat group. He didn't send any red packets. After all, he didn't know anyone. It was sad to send red packets to get people to talk to him. Then he wouldn't say anything. He didn't know anyone anyway. He wouldn't talk to anyone he couldn't talk to. Ning Shu clicked on Mei Ziqing's profile picture and sent him a message. Mei Ziqing's system replied that Mei Ziqing had gone to do a mission and wasn't at home. It seemed that Mei Ziqing had started to do missions seriously. Ning Shu asked Mei Ziqing's system. It was quite difficult to lock a blank child in the system space. The system space was very quiet. There wasn't much entertainment. Ning Shu chatted with Mei Ziqing's system for a while. Mei Ziqing's system was quite polite to Ning Shu. Ning Shu thought of 2333 saying that Mei Ziqing's system was arrogant. It was probably 2333 who was arrogant. Did 2333 have no EQ? Ning Shu said 2333, go to Water City. He had to see how his city was doing. He had to ask when he could get the taxes. Ning Shu was now very poor, very poor. With a wave of dizziness, Ning Shu stood on the street of Water City. Ning Shu put his hands behind his back and slowly looked around his territory. When he saw trash on the ground, he picked it up and threw it into the bin. It was like throwing trash in his own house. It was very uncomfortable. Ning Shu went to a restaurant to order some food. Although the food in the restaurant was expensive, it tasted good. In his soul state, he wouldn't get fat. Ning Shu walked into the restaurant. A waiter came to welcome Ning Shu and brought him upstairs. I'm not going upstairs. I'll just order something in the main hall, Ning Shu said. The waiter said, My lord, someone is waiting for you upstairs. He said that when you arrived, he would bring you to the private room upstairs. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows in surprise. Who would wait for him? Chapter 1720. Lead the way. Ning Shu said to the waiter and followed him upstairs. The waiter opened the door. The guest is inside. Ning Shu nodded and walked in. She saw Hong Yu, who was dressed in red. When Hong Yu saw Ning Shu, she smiled. You really came back. I said I would leave after a while. Ning Shu sat down opposite Hong Yu and said, Actually, you should have expected me to come back. You were waiting for me in Water City. This was too much of a bully. Hong Yu took the teapot and poured a cup of tea. She then poured another cup for Ning Shu. Besides the water law imprint, there is no grudge between us. Ning Shu picked up the teacup and took a sip. Then, he put down the teacup and said indifferently, So? I'm puzzled. Do I really look like I'm easy to bully? Ning Shu asked Hong Yu sincerely. He had harmed her in the past. Now that he appeared in front of her so casually, it really made her feel uncomfortable. Extremely uncomfortable. Hong jade-like eyebrows looked at Ning Shu. There was a special charm in her indifference. It's not that I'm easy to bully, but it's that I'm an ant. I don't need to care about an ant's thoughts and emotions. If Hong Yu was facing Ah Wan, she would definitely not be so calm. Only by caring would an evenly matched opponent be vigilant. So, why did you come to find me this time? You want me to give up the law imprint in Water City? Ning Shu really did not understand why Hong Yu came to see him. Hong Yu was also a little puzzled. Actually, I don't know why I came here. I just wanted to know if you could come back. Thank you for your concern. Ning Shu smiled faintly. Everyone was calm and collected, so she wouldn't be anxious. She was at a disadvantage. The two of them drank tea in silence. Ning Shu put down the teacup. You're so stingy. You always make me drink tea. It's so boring. It's my fault. Order whatever you want. It's my treat. Hong Yu pushed the exquisite menu in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu casually flipped through the menu. Hong Yu saw that Ning Shu was just flipping through the list and did not order anything. I don't like anything. Hong Yu looked at the mark on Ning Shu's forehead and said indifferently. Ning Shu closed the list and pushed it aside. I don't like it. Ning Shu propped up his chin and looked at Hong Yu. I just became the city lord. I want to know if I have the authority to expel you from Water City? Hong Yu's expression stiffened. As the city lord, I naturally have the authority to do so. However, most city lords wouldn't do so. Ning Shu's face suddenly lit up. If that's the case, then please disappear from my sight. There should be a limit to how much you can disgust people. Ning Shu snapped his fingers, and Hong Yu felt a huge repulsive force from the city. If she was thrown out of Water City, the roaring laws outside would directly annihilate her. Hong Yu looked at Ning Shu, who was smiling at her, and her beautiful eyebrows tightly knitted together. She looked a little angry. Hong Yu stood up. I'm very optimistic about you. Thank you. Hong Yu disappeared in front of Ning Shu. Ning Shu put down the teacup, opened the menu, and ordered some pastries and drinks. The waiter came up with Ning Shu's order, but a woman followed behind him. The woman walked in and took the lead to greet Ning Shu. It's an honor for the city lord to visit my restaurant. This woman was dignified and elegant. She wore a cheongsam, like a young lady from a famous family in old Shanghai. A cheongsam was the best way to show off a woman's curves and softness. Ning Shu stood up. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. This must be the first time the city lord has come to my restaurant. I'm Shu Bai. I'm Ning Shu. Shu Bai sat opposite Ning Shu and looked at the pastries and drinks on the table. These are on me. Ning Shu smiled. Thank you. Shu Bai was not a simple woman. Since she could open a restaurant, she was probably a rich person. How's the taste? Shu Bai asked Ning Shu. It's very good. Ning Shu nodded. Shu Bai stared at the law imprint on Ning Shu's forehead. Water City has been without a master for a long time. It has always been a few parties plundering Water City. I hope that Water City has a true master. Welcome, Shu Bai said. Ning Shu smiled. Thank you. You're the second person to give me your blessings. Everyone looked at her covetously. Shu Bai's blessings surprised Ning Shu. I'm also afraid of being exploited by those people. Wave after wave. Shu Bai smiled without showing her teeth. It's not easy to do business. You're not doing missions anymore? Ning Shu took a sip of his drink and asked. Shu Bai said indifferently, I'm a little tired. I can't remember how long it has been since I did a mission. In fact, doing missions is a very tough thing. Not everyone will be able to endure it. Ning Shu nodded. It's quite tough. After I became a super mission taker, I felt that it was especially strenuous. Shu Bai pushed an exquisite plate in front of Ning Shu. This is our restaurant's signature pastry. Try it. Ning Shu used a fork to pick up the pastry and tasted it carefully. He nodded. It's delicious, but it's very expensive. I didn't dare to order it before. Shu Bai smiled reservedly. You're the city lord. Do you have to be so careful with your food? Ning Shu shrugged. I'm actually a poor child. You opened this restaurant after you stopped doing missions? Ning Shu changed the topic. No matter what, this person in front of him was still considered a senior. Shu Bai said, I don't know if I have this problem or if all women have this problem. What problem? Ning Shu asked while eating the pastry. Sensitive, soft-hearted, fragile, experienced too much, and mentally exhausted, Shu Bai said. Her body was filled with the gentleness of a woman. It should be that most women have this psychological characteristic, Ning Shu said. Some of the female mission takers I know disappeared. Some couldn't bear such a life and got together with their loved ones. In the end, we lost contact. I don't know how they are doing now. Shu Bai stirred her coffee. I don't even dare to think about their current situation. I don't even know if they still exist now. Ning Shu suddenly understood why there were so few women standing at the top. It was because women were emotional, cute, compassionate, and kind. If it was an ordinary woman, these were all cute qualities. However, some women couldn't bear the long life of a mission taker. Especially when it came to education for women, it was all about keeping them in captivity. Women fundamentally thought that they couldn't compare to men. They were weak and needed to rely on others. So what if I'm strong? I'd rather be with the person I love than doing quests endlessly like this. Love was eternal. Women were kind and gentle. To a certain extent, they weren't as decisive as men. Women magnified their own weakness and were more afraid of loneliness than men. Chapter 1721. It was better to marry well than to do well. This sentence was deeply rooted in people's hearts. Sometimes, when you were working hard, the people around you would use this sentence to mock you. When did working hard become a mistake? This sentence clearly defined women as reproductive machines. At the end of the day, it was human laziness. It could also be said that women used their reproductive ability in exchange for resources to survive. All roads lead to Rome. It was not like this was the only way to go. They still had to take this as the truth. It was a good thing to have love in one's heart. However, it was disgusting to say that people were cold, heartless, and unreasonable. If they did not fulfill their love, they were cold, heartless, and unreasonable. When Shu Bai talked about the people she knew, she felt a little sad. Ning Shu said, "Why am I talking to you about this? It's making you sad for no reason." Ning Shu asked Shu Bai, "Have you never thought of doing missions?" Sometimes, people rely on one breath to hold on. When this string is loose, I don't want to be tense anymore, Shu Bai said leisurely. It's quite good now. I'm doing a small business and living a leisurely life, Shu Bai said gently. Ning Shu nodded. Everyone has their own goals. Shu Bai smiled. There's no such thing as having the best of both worlds. If you don't want to climb up and become stronger, you can't do whatever you want. However, I'm tired. Ning Shu put down his fork. I've never thought of doing missions again. Mission enforcers have a long life. They have to find something to do. Sometimes, missions are quite interesting. Shu Bai smiled indifferently. I'm all alone now. How can I do missions? I was too tired back then. In order not to delay the system, I've already separated myself from the system. Back then, he even advised me not to cut ties so decisively. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the chance to regret in the future. Ning Shu, you've separated yourself from the system? Ning Shu was surprised. Didn't you say that the system and the mission enforcer are one? That's true. If the mission giver is completely erased, the system will also be completely erased. However, the system has the right to request to leave the host and change to another partner. However, the price is that my memory will be erased once again. Everything has a price. In other words, the system that has gone through life and death with me in the past no longer recognizes me, nor does it remember me, White Book said with melancholy. If I were given another chance, I would still choose to do the same thing. Because I'm already mentally and physically exhausted. If I continue, I'll definitely implicate him and be completely obliterated together with me. Ning Shu tapped his finger on the table. making tapping sounds, indicating that Ning Shu's heart was not calm. Ning Shu did not expect the system to have such authority. In other words, if 2333 wanted to leave her, it was not impossible. However, their memories would be erased, and they would never know each other again. 2333 said, "It's not that simple. Otherwise, I would have left you a long time ago. Generally speaking, this kind of contract is bound to a dead end. This person must have paid a huge price to make the system leave her." Ning Shu looked at White Book and said, "You're the most gentle person I've ever met." White Book was reserved for a moment. "I don't know what to say when you praise me like that. I don't have the tenacity of a strong person. I also understand that I won't be able to go far. It's too tiring." Ning Shu had reservations about White Book. It was not easy to open a restaurant like this. Moreover, it was opened in a space of laws. "Do the restaurants in other cities of laws belong to you?" Ning Shu asked. It seemed that all the cities of laws were the same. It was exactly the same. White Book shook her head. "No, the owners of each city are different." Ning Shu made an sound and stretched lazily. It's really good to eat." Ning Shu said, "Since you like it, do you want to bring some back?" Ning Shu waved his hand. "It's eating and taking. Forget it." He would not die if he ate less. Ning Shu still paid the bill and spent more than 500 faith power. He was not familiar with White Book and did not have much money. There was no need for him to take advantage of her. White Book shook her head and said, "I can still afford to treat you to pastries." Ning Shu took back his identity card. "I know you can afford it, but you still have to pay the bill." He had to maintain his dignity as the city lord. If word got out that she was short-sighted and ate wherever she went, she would represent the image of Water City. White Book smiled slightly. She was like an elegant and charming white orchid flower, full of gentleness and shyness. The temperament of a woman was fully displayed on her body. However, Ning Shu did not think that she was a simple woman. The daily turnover of the restaurant was not a small number. Moreover, the people who came to the restaurant were all super mission enforcers. It was impossible to deter these mission enforcers without sufficient strength. White Book sent Ning Shu to the entrance of the restaurant. Ning Shu said, "You don't have to send me off. I will walk around by myself." White Book said reservedly and gently, "In the future, the city lord should come to my restaurant more often." Ning Shu nodded. He understood what White Book meant. He wanted to use her name to deter the people who caused trouble. In Water City, Ning Shu was equivalent to a local tyrant. He had absolute power. However, if he went overboard, some mission enforcers would report it. The city lord's power was great, but it was limited to his own city. He could not leave the city, let alone do whatever he wanted in other people's cities. Ning Shu wandered around and walked to the entrance of the auction house. When he thought of the 500 merit points entrance fee, he turned around and walked away. She could also exchange 500 merit points for a better item. But here, she could only watch the fun and see how happy people were buying things. It was a critical hit. After walking around and checking the situation of the barrier, he said to 2333, "Let's go back to the system space." Ning Shu felt dizzy. He went back to the system space and lay down on the sofa, ready to sleep. He really felt a little tired. He was doing missions alone. Now, he was in contact with more and more mission enforcers. There were all kinds of people and all kinds of personalities. What they showed might not necessarily be what they thought. Ning Shu dealt with the changes by remaining unchanged. She was slowly getting stronger and people were starting to take her seriously. This was the glory of the strong. No matter what thoughts they had, whether they were afraid of her, fawning on her, or jealous, this was the glory of the strong. Ning Shu stretched out and found the most comfortable position. He asked 2333, "What are the conditions for the system to separate from the mission enforcer?" After a while, 2333 said, "I knew you would ask. Generally speaking, it is impossible to separate. If we die together. If we live together." "I see." Ning Shu was a little curious about the price White Book paid to separate from the system. Of course, White Book separated from the system more so that her system could have a new beginning. Chapter 1722. Shu Bai felt that she couldn't continue to do missions. However, she didn't want to ruin the system's future. Therefore, she decided to sever her relationship with the system. Ning Shu thought about it again. If he was in the same situation as Shu Bai, would he do the same thing? Let 2333 go. Ning Shu, hee. Everything was self-explanatory. What are you laughing at? 2333 Ning Shu asked. His laughter was creepy. Ning Shu smiled and said, I'm thinking about what I would do if I were in the same situation as Shu Bai. You would drag me down to hell with you, 2333 said directly. Ning Shu pouted. Do I look like that kind of person? We went through life and death together. Do I look like a cold, heartless, and unreasonable person? 2333. Yes, that's right. You are that kind of person. Do you want to leave? 2333 Ning Shu asked. Ning Shu shook his head. No. I just know that there is a little bit of hope. Suddenly, I feel that life is full of hope. 2333. There is basically no hope. Even if I report that I don't get along with my partner and that I'm not interested in leaving, the higher-ups will only tell me to get lost, 2333 said helplessly. What are you going to do if you want to leave me? Ning Shu shrugged. I'm all alone. I don't have anything. Also, when did I say that I want to leave you? If I leave you, I won't be able to do missions. 2333 said, It's good that you can think like that. Do you think that you can meet a better system if you leave me? Ning Shu, I don't know if I will meet a better system. Let's just make do with each other. They had been together for so long. It wasn't easy to get a new system. What do you mean by making do with each other? I think we get along very well, 2333 said. There was a hint of sadness in his voice. Ning Shu, they get along very well? Ning Shu didn't know what 2333 meant by happy. If they were really happy, 2333's standards were really low. Ning Shu yawned and began to sleep on the sofa. Finally, the topic ended. Ning Shu was sleeping soundly when she heard the sound of the chatting system. 2333 woke up Ning Shu. The group chat seems to be very lively. Ning Shu rubbed her eyes and opened the chat group in the chat system. It was very lively. Previously, they had not spoken, but now, the messages kept jumping. Ning Shu did not understand what was going on. However, as soon as he opened it, many people tagged him. When did she become popular? Why were there so many people tagging her? Ning Shu scrolled through the chat history to see what had happened. Ning Shu tapped on the screen and scrolled up the chat history. However, the more he looked, the tighter his frown became. The first thing that happened was that Ning Shu, the newly appointed city lord of Water City, had directly expelled Hongyu. Judging from the description, Ning Shu was a reckless person who didn't give any face to his seniors. Did he think that he could do whatever he wanted after becoming the law incarnation? The more Ning Shu read, the funnier it became. In the end, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. From an unknown mission enforcer, he had now become the target of discussion. From beginning to end, Hongyu did not say a word, nor did she pretend to be pitiful. It was just a bunch of people blindly making a fuss. The main thing was that Ning Shu, a person who had suddenly appeared and comprehended the law of water, was indeed eye-catching. Many people tagged Ning Shu, but Ning Shu did not reply. I don't even know you, why should I explain to you? What you think has nothing to do with me. Hongyu did not speak, and neither did Ning Shu. Then, some people started to talk about Ning Shu being a little arrogant. Ning Shu ignored these people. Although you say that I'm arrogant, and it seems to be right, I won't listen. There were also people who asked Ning Shu to apologize to Hongyu, but Ning Shu ignored them all. Do you think I'll apologize just because you say so? Ning Shu heard a ding-dong sound. Someone had sent him a message. He saw that it was a message from Ah Wan. Why did you have a conflict with Hongyu? Ning Shu, she's the one who came to find trouble with me. Ah Wan pondered for a moment. She must have taken a fancy to your law of water and wanted to compete with me. Be careful, Hongyu is not an open-minded person. Ning Shu shrugged. There was no other way. The conflict had already started. Ning Shu asked, then why did she fight with you when we're both mission enforcers? There were many powerful people, so why was Hong Yu eyeing Ah Wan? Ah Wan, because we're often compared. Whenever there's a topic, the two of us are tied together. She should be more annoyed, so she wants to suppress me. Ning Shu, what about you? Ah Wan, I don't care. There are so many mouths in the world. Who should I listen to? No one needs to listen. Forever luck can't satisfy everyone. It can't make everyone like it. Ning Shu thanked Ah Wan. After all, Ah Wan had come to remind him. Things were already like this. Time had turned back, but she still chose to do it. A group of people who didn't know the truth couldn't change Ning Shu's heart. Ning Shu rested his head on his arm and couldn't help but laugh. He laughed very happily. 2333. What are you laughing about? Ning Shu asked 2333. Do you think I'm causing a lot of trouble? 2333. No, it's just that you haven't shown enough strength to make people look up to you. That's why there are such rumors. Ning Shu shrugged. This was a bit awkward. With Ning Shu's current state, many people felt that she was lucky. She was someone who was suddenly struck by good luck. Everyone thought that if it were them, they would also be able to understand the law of water. Ning Shu switched to the chat group. Seeing the turbulent discussions, Ning Shu rolled his eyes. I just said a few words. What can you do to me? Can you press my head down and apologize to Hong Yu? As for what happened in the plane, Ning Shu was too lazy to talk about it. If he had the time, he might as well read a book. Whether she was dissatisfied or had other thoughts, she was still the city lord of Water City. She was the embodiment of the law of water. This was something that couldn't be changed. Ning Shu closed the chat group. Out of sight, out of mind. Besides, she didn't kill or set fire, didn't do anything out of line, and didn't want to kill people for their treasures like Hong Yu did. Ning Shu was fearless. In his own territory, he couldn't expel a person. Then what was the use of the law that she worked so hard to understand? So what if she was arrogant and domineering? You can't get rid of me just because you don't like me. Moreover, this matter was only spread among the group of law incarnations. It wouldn't be widely spread. The chat system dinged. Someone sent a message to Ning Shu again. It was the first time so many people were looking for her. Ning Shu opened it and saw that it was a message from the Law of Time's incarnation, the man in the Cheongsam. Chapter 1723. Ning Shu clicked on the message sent by the man in Cheongsam. He asked Ning Shu why he had a conflict with Hong Yu. Ning Shu said casually, Why? Are you trying to persuade me to apologize to her? Man in Cheongsam, I didn't ask you to apologize to her. It's normal for mission enforcers to have conflicts. You might have become enemies during a mission or for various reasons. I just didn't expect you to have a conflict so soon. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. So, you already expected this. Man in Cheongsam, isn't it obvious? Your law imprint was predetermined by Hong Yu. Ning Shu clicked her tongue. In that case, Hong Yu was quite domineering. Man in Cheongsam, she's not weak. Plus, she has a strong background. She's always been suppressed by Wan because Wan is the embodiment of the law of fire. Hong Yu has obtained the law of water. It's impossible to say who's more powerful between them. Ning Shu just wanted to roll his eyes. If she had the ability, she should have comprehended it herself. The law that she comprehended was assumed to belong to Hong Yu. As long as Hong Yu got her hands on it, it would belong to her. Damn, the law of water was a bit of a hot potato. Whether it was Ning Shu or anyone else who comprehended the law of water, they couldn't escape the fate of being targeted by Hong Yu. Ning Shu, man in Cheongsam, is there anything else you want to talk to me about? Man in Cheongsam, no, I just wanted to see if you peed your pants. It seems that you're in a better state than I thought. If you can't even protect your own things, then you're too useless. Ning Shu, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, space, time, light, and darkness. Aren't these laws more powerful? Why don't they take yours and bully the newbie? Man in Cheongsam, she wouldn't dare. I'm not afraid of her background either. When we fight, It's okay even if I kill Hong Yu. Ning Shu gave him a thumbs up. Awesome. You're so powerful. Man in Chong Sam, do you want to be my girlfriend? I have some face. Ning Shu, even through the screen, Ning Shu could feel the overwhelming coquettish aura. Right now, the Chong Sam man must be fanning himself furiously. Ning Shu did not forget the Chong Sam man's evaluation of him. He was a female. The man in the Chong Sam had very low requirements. He just wanted to find a female. Ning Shu was silent for a moment, then said, "Don't limit yourself to females. You can find a man." Chong Sam man, what do you mean? Ning Shu, boyfriends and girlfriends are the same thing. For people like us who have transcended, there's no need to reproduce. It doesn't matter whether we're male or female. Chong Sam man, go to hell. I'm going to kill you for Hong Yu. Ning Shu shrugged his shoulders. He had always wanted to be single, but the Chong Sam man had never been able to take that step. He did not know if there was any psychological problem. He only dared to talk big, but when he got serious, he withered away. What a coward. Ning Shu gloated in his heart. However, when two people were together, they had to shoulder each other's lives. It was too heavy and too sacred. He had to work hard to make himself better, and then make the other party better too. Ning Shu opened the Law Incarnation group and saw that they were still discussing this matter. It was fermenting and getting more and more intense. As the main character of the discussion, Ning Shu was leisurely. She would not cry because the bitch would laugh. She reached out and took out the Peerless Martial Arts book from the bookshelf. She had to quickly build a world. Just having a law imprint was of no use at all. Having a world that belonged to him was the right way to go. Ning Shu looked at the Peerless Martial Arts book and did not know why she felt like crying. She held the Peerless Martial Arts book in her arms. It had been with her from the beginning until now. It was what she relied on. When it was dug out from the bottom of the box, the Peerless Martial Arts book had already become moldy. Ning Shu hoped that the Peerless Martial Arts book could become a world with the heavenly Tao. It could evolve on its own and give birth to a world of all things. It was also for herself. She suddenly felt a little nostalgic. Ning Shu smiled. Her face bloomed with a gentle light. The luster of the water droplet on her forehead flashed, gentle but not dazzling. From nothing to now, Ning Shu felt very satisfied. The future was still long, very long. Ning Shu placed the Peerless Martial Arts book on the bookshelf, took out a book, and then sat on the sofa to read. No matter how turbulent the chat group was, she had blocked the messages. When she was doing missions, no one could locate her location. Even if they wanted to find trouble, they could not find her. Anger them to death. Ning Shu tilted her head, supported her chin with her hand, and looked at the black hole on the wall. The black hole slowly rotated, and she could not see the end of it. The darkness could swallow everything. Ning Shu 2333 said, "This hole is already very obvious. I think he's sick." 2333, "I think so too. He's sick." Ning Shu rubbed her face and sighed helplessly. What the hell was this thing? She had been seriously held back by this thing. She could not even remember how long it had been since she last saw the client. She was afraid that the client would come in and be swallowed by the black hole. That would be terrible. In order to avoid such a situation, she did not receive the client in the system space. There was also no way to communicate with the client face-to-face. By communicating face-to-face, she could better understand what the client was thinking and what the client wanted. Ning Shu looked 45 degrees at the bright and sad sky. A true warrior faced a bleak life directly. Ning Shu felt that she was about to evolve into Ultraman. Ning Shu opened the exchange store and slowly browsed through it page by page. She found that there were too many things in the system store. It really had everything. There were thousands of things. There were all kinds of strange items. How much money did the system store make every day? With so many mission takers, even if each of them exchanged for one thing, the sales would be terrifying. Ning Shu's first reaction when she saw something was, "Wow, how much money did it cost?" After seeing so many things, she would think about the benefits behind it. Most importantly, she was always thinking about her little bit of tax. Ning Shu asked 2333, When can I get the money? According to the time in the law space, you will get the money every 6 months. Can I go to every household and ask for it? Ning Shu asked hesitantly. You can ask for it yourself, or you can ask directly from the main system. The main system will collect the tax for you and then give it to you. 2333 said. Ning Shu rubbed her hands, blinked and asked, I can collect it myself? Do I collect it myself and ask for as much as I want? Oh, there is a document sent by the higher-ups. There is a fluctuation in the tax. Some of the small benefits are allowed. You can ask for more tax from the shops, but there is a limit. 2333 said. Some city lords collect more, some collect less. For example, the basic law is that cities with more people will have higher taxes. It is determined by the prosperity of the city. Chapter 1724. Ning Shu rubbed his chin. There were so many ways to collect taxes. Ning Shu was just an inexperienced city lord, so he didn't know about these things at all. Ning Shu thought about it and decided to ask someone for advice. Ning Shu asked 2333, how much faith, power, or merit do you think I should collect? 2333 replied, according to the tax collection conditions on the document, generally 5 to 10% of the store's net profit can be adjusted according to the situation of your city. According to the flow of people in Water City, 10% of the tax is also possible. 2333 said, of course, there are also some gray profits. For example, some shops give out extra profits. These are not included in the tax. Of course, you have to pay taxes too. In addition, 5% of your taxes will be taken out. Ning Shu, this is like the big fish eating the small fish and the small fish eating the shrimps. 2333 nodded. That's right, at least you are now in the middle of the food chain. This is the power of being powerful. 2333 said in a low voice, like the sound of a drum, which made her heart beat violently. Yes, she deserved all this. She worked hard to get it, in exchange for the right to speak, to be able to do as she pleased. Ning Shu looked at the document. I have to ask how the taxes were collected in the past. In the past, several law incarnations jointly managed Water City. Shu Bai said that they were exploited again and again. It seemed that the law incarnations that temporarily managed Water City in the past had exploited Water City quite a bit. Ning Shu opened the chat system, thought about it, and clicked on the profile picture of the Cheongsam man. Ning Shu realized that he didn't know anyone in the law group. He decided to ask the Cheongsam man. Cheongsam man, I'm already dead. If you have something to burn, come see me. Unless you're dead, I'll summon your soul if it's small, I'll dig your grave if it's big. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. He was already so old, yet he was still so stupid. Ning Shu, I have something to ask you. Please come back to life. Cheongsam man, what is it? I want to collect a consultation fee. I'm in a bad mood now, very bad. Ning Shu, okay, it's my fault. Ning Shu, I want to know how you guys collect taxes. The Cheongsam man said in a very official manner, just collect taxes according to the regulations on the document. Well, it seemed that this was a rather taboo topic. Ning Shu asked again, now that the incarnation of the law of wind and thunder has been obliterated, who is in charge of the city of wind and the city of thunder? Cheongsam man, it's already been divided. You have no chance. Ning Shu did not ask further. She was not familiar with the man in the Cheongsam. There was no need for him to tell her this. Ning Shu thanked the Cheongsam man politely and closed the chat system. It seemed that he still had to check out his own city. Ning Shu 2333 said, let's go to Water City. When they arrived at Water City, Ning Shu took the lead and went to the gambling house to meet the owner, Si Tian. Si Tian gave Ning Shu the feeling that he was like a beautiful Zhuge Liang, the kind of person with a shrewd heart. Si Tian was wearing a gray and white deep robe with wide sleeves, looking very elegant. Si Tian's facial features were not exquisite, but that kind of casual and calm look made people ignore his face. He was always so calm. Si Tian greets the city lord. Does the city lord have any orders for coming to my humble abode? Si Tian cupped his hands and asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu went straight to the point and said, "This time I'm here to understand the tax issue." Si Tian picked up the exquisite teapot and poured tea for Ning Shu, saying, "Whatever the city lord wants to know, Si Tian will tell you everything I know." Ning Shu nodded. "Tell me about the tax before. How much was it collected?" Si Tian took a sip of tea and gently put down the teacup. "It used to be 10. The additional incarnation of the law of wind, earth, and ice would each take 1, which means that the tax rate was 1/3. Ning Shu nodded. "I understand. I'll take my leave." Si Tian could not help but raise his eyebrows and leave. Si Tian stood at the window upstairs and looked at Ning Shu walking on the street. He saw that Ning Shu casually entered a shop. Si Tian's expression changed slightly, and he sighed silently in his heart. He had just told a small lie, but it might be exposed. Ning Shu visited many shops on a few streets before he finally arrived at Shu Bai's restaurant. Ning Shu directly went to the private room upstairs and said to the waiter, "Can I trouble your boss to come over?" The waiter brewed a pot of tea for Ning Shu and then went to invite Shu Bai. When Shu Bai came over, Ning Shu asked, "Is there anything the city lord needs?" Ning Shu lifted his chin. "Have a seat. I have something to ask you." Shu Bai sat down and used a simple hairpin to tie up her hair. Her hair was loose and elegant, and the pendant of the hairpin swayed slightly. "As for me, I ended up at your restaurant because of hope. Tell me the truth. I've visited many shops and asked about taxes. Guess what?" Ning Shu asked Shu Bai with a smile. Shu Bai smiled reservedly and lowered her head gently. "It should be that everyone lied about the tax situation. Everyone wants to pay less." Ning Shu nodded. "I can understand. However, they treat me like a retard. They actually told me that the flow of water in Water City is only 2% of the tax." Shu Bai covered her mouth and laughed. "It's normal to bully strangers and the weak. I came to find you because I want to know what the real tax situation is like. I think that the slightly more reliable tax is the 13% that Si Tian mentioned." Ning Shu held the tea and slowly sipped it. It tasted pretty good. Shu Bai shook her head. Si Tian said too little. It turns out that this place is managed by the incarnations of the earth, wind, and ice laws. The tax is 18%, but it's 10% on the books. In fact, it's split equally between the three of them. Ning Shu nodded. 18%. Why did you tell me that it's 2%? The difference was like heaven and earth. Do you guys fake the books? Ning Shu tilted his head and asked Shu Bai. Shu Bai's mouth twitched. Everyone spending records and identity cards are just for fun. All spending is transparent in front of the main system. Ning Shu nodded. Human intelligence was not to be underestimated. The higher-ups had their own plans and countermeasures. Ning Shu asked Shu Bai, "How does the city lord plan to collect the taxes?" "Then I'll take the liberty to ask, how much is the net profit of your store?" Ning Shu asked. Shu Bai stretched out 5 jade white fingers. 50,000? Ning Shu guessed. Close to 500,000. Ning Shu, what the fuck? That's a lot of money. Ning Shu was so shocked that he almost flipped the table. 500,000 merit points or 500,000 power of faith? Ning Shu asked again. Adding both together, it's close to 500,000. In terms of earning money, Si Tian's gambling house is still the best. Shu Bai dragged Si Tian into the water. Ning Shu counted with his fingers. If 500,000 was calculated according to the 10% tax, that would be 50,000. Chapter 1725. Oh my, just the taxes of a restaurant for half a year was already 50,000, and there were other taxes as well. Ning Shu was laughing in his heart, but he did not show it on his face. This was the feeling of lying down and collecting money. How much do you think I should collect? Ning Shu asked Shu Bai. Shu Bai said reservedly, the city lord is the city lord of Water City. The amount of taxes should be decided by the city lord. Oh, you mean it's okay to collect 18%? You guys can also afford it. Shu Bai, don't worry, I'm still a very kind person. I can't do 18% of the taxes, so 10%. Shu Bai smiled. You're quite kind. Compared to before, you're quite kind. I'm one person. Before, there were 3 people. After dividing it up, it's not even as much as me. Ning Shu came out of the restaurant. After returning to the system space, he reissued the tax notice to inform all the shops that the tax was 10%, and they were not allowed to be late. Then, Ning Shu planned to lie down and collect the money. How fortunate. Si Tian looked at the tax notice and raised his eyebrows. It seemed that 13% was too high. Si Tian put down the notice. Whether it was to establish his benevolent image or because he was a new city lord and did not dare to ask for too much, no matter what, it was still a profit for them. Si Tian curled his lips. Ning Shu solved the tax issue, stretched, and exchanged for some fasting pills and water. Ning Shu confirmed with 2,333 again. Has my location been blocked? Ning Shu did not want a quest taker to suddenly appear in the middle of a quest, and one that came for him. It's been blocked. Don't worry, 2333 Ning Shu said. I dare not be careless about this kind of thing. Ning Shu had become a target of some people, and it would also hinder 2,333 system. Ning Shu nodded. That's good. Now that her foundation is weak, her wings will slowly grow. Then let's go do the quest. Ning Shu smiled sweetly. Now, doing quests was not only for the power of the soul, but also to find the origin of the world and rush toward the path of building a world. Ning Shu felt his soul fuse into a body, and the body was very stiff. Ning Shu wanted to move his body, but his body was held down by someone. Ning Shu opened his eyes and saw mud and grass. The tip of his nose was filled with the smell of soil. Ning Shu saw a centipede-like insect crawling in front of him. She was now lying on the ground, releasing her spiritual power, surrounded by a humid tropical forest. Someone had a hand on her head. Other than her, there were many other people wearing military green clothes with colorful makeup on their faces. Ning Shu turned his head slightly and saw a determined side profile. His facial features were deep. Even if his face was covered in colorful makeup, from the outline of his face, this man was not bad-looking. They were probably doing some sort of mission. Ning Shu tried his best to accept the plot as quickly as possible. The atmosphere was very tense. In short, this was the sweet story of a military marriage. However, it was not the client, but the man next to the client. It was a romantic love story with a soldier, and this soldier was an officer with a high position and power. The client was called Wu Jing, a Special Forces soldier, and a qualified female Special Forces soldier. The man next to her was Wu Jing's superior, Song Yi, the male lead of this story. Now they were carrying out a special mission. A transnational drug dealer was transporting drugs to the country through this place. Their current mission was to solve this batch of drugs and prevent it from entering the country. Song Yi was a man with integrity, patriotism, and a strong sense of responsibility. He had all the advantages of a soldier. Hardworking, patient, sacrifice, dedication, rigorous, brave, and responsible. He was an officer with a bright future. Wearing a military uniform, he was fascinating. Wu Jing's heart was filled with awe and admiration for this superior. What moved them even more was that this officer had led them to lay down their lives for the country, shed their blood, and protect it. Patriotism was in their blood, and they sacrificed their lives for the country behind them. They loved their country. Although it was not good enough in some aspects, it allowed them to become citizens and be upright people. At least they would not become refugees without a country. Born in the country, raised in the country, and died in the country. Wu Jing's feelings for Song Yi were mixed with faith and reverence. Wu Jing was a child of an ordinary family. When she first joined the army, she was unexpectedly selected for Special Forces training. Wu Jing knew that it was impossible between her and Song Yi. She respected this superior very much. Wu Jing thought that this officer would lead them to continue like this and protect the glory of the country. Things had changed. Song Yi had gotten married. Song Yi's wife was the daughter of Song Yi's superior. Song Yi's superior saw that Song Yi was a good young man and would be a promising person in the future, so he decisively married his daughter to Song Yi. could be said that it was forced. Song Yi's wife was called Wu Xianro. She was a fashionable girl. Suddenly, her father married a stranger who was a soldier. She was unwilling and made a fuss. But she was still forced to marry and become a soldier's wife. Song Yi was a generous person, and he treated his future wife very well. However, the situation was like a wild dog with rectal prolapse, completely out of control. Song Yi began to pamper his wife. As long as Wu Xianro was wronged outside, military planes and off-road vehicles would immediately appear to support Wu Xianro. These things originally belonged to the country. Now, Song Yi was using them privately. As Song Yi's career rose, the power in his hands also increased. Mobilizing the army for a woman was a common thing. The superiors gave him a mission. But if something happened to Wu Xianro, Song Yi would reject the mission and choose Wu Xianro first. Wu Jing was stunned. She did not understand how her indomitable officer had become like this. It was as if he was a completely different person. He pampered Wu Xianro unconditionally. There were no principles, no right or wrong. Wu Jing was disappointed and sad. She felt that her superior had become Wu Xianro's perfect husband. What he had to do every day was to support Wu Xianro. He appeared at the occasions that Wu Xianro needed. The other soldiers' wives were enduring loneliness and understanding the responsibility of a soldier's husband. Soldiers used their lives to interpret the sacred mission. Soldiers' wives used loneliness and longing to reflect that holiness. Soldiers used their youth and hot-bloodedness to protect the country. Soldiers used their strength to protect the soldiers' homes. Soldiers used their strength to protect the country's borders. Soldiers used their strength to protect the country's borders. Even the soldiers' wives who accompanied their husbands had to wake up in the middle of the night when they might have to go on a mission. They also had to prepare for their husbands. Chapter 1726. Understanding and Tolerance. Everyone was an ordinary person, and they all had their responsibilities and obligations. Wu Xianro, as a military wife, had reached a new height. She was like a cripple, making the other military wives jealous. Everyone thought that Song Yi was in a high position and didn't need to go on ordinary missions. He had a lot of time to accompany Wu Xianro. Only Wu Jing knew that Song Yi didn't even do what he should have done. If he could refuse, he would. That upright and responsible man suddenly became unrestrained. Song Yi became the perfect husband in women's hearts. He was in a high position, handsome, and loyal. He would appear when needed. He would pamper you, tolerate you, and adore you. He turned a hero into a man who only wanted to have sex with his wife and make her unable to get out of bed every day. Wu Jing went to reason with Wu Xianro. She told Wu Xianro not to drag Song Yi down like this. Song Yi would have a brighter future. He should have more medals on his chest and even be written in the history books. To achieve great things, some patience and sacrifice were necessary. Wu Xianro took Wu Jing's actions as a provocation between love rivals. As a woman, Wu Xianro could feel that Song Yi's subordinates liked Song Yi. Wu Xianro didn't say anything. She packed her things and went back to her parents' house. Song Yi invited her back as if she was his ancestor. Wu Jing was also scolded by Song Yi. He said that this was a matter between him and his wife. It was not Wu Jing's place to interfere. Wu Jing felt terrible. She really couldn't understand what was so good about Wu Xianro. Just because her father was a high official? Wu Xianro was very willful. She had always been asking but never giving. Why did Song Yi still treat her like this? Willfulness could be regarded as cuteness. There was no reason for love. But why was Wu Xianro loved like this? Wu Jing was very confused. She looked at her superior and was disappointed. Wu Jing asked Song Yi why he did this. Song Yi only said that he was happy. Song Yi arranged for Wu Jing to do a mission. This was a very dangerous mission. She might not even be able to come back. Wu Jing vaguely understood what was going on, but she didn't dare to think too much. A soldier's duty was to obey orders. Wu Jing went to do the mission Song Yi sent her. In the end, she was killed in the crossfire. Her body was not complete. Wu Jing had no complaints about dying for the country, because the people who went on the mission with her were either dead or injured. However, the man who had led her into the hot-blooded world had ended up like this. Was it power that changed a person? It was said that Wu Xianrou brought good fortune to her husband. After marrying Song Yi, Song Yi's status rose step by step. However, in Wu Jing's opinion, Song Yi did not shoulder his responsibility. Or was it the beauty's town or the hero's mound? Wu Jing didn't understand. Even a woman like her could see all of this, so why was Song Yi so deeply involved in it and unable to see the problem? Using the country's resources, such as military helicopters, troops, and pistols, all for Wu Xianrou's trivial matter. These were all taxpayers, supported by ordinary people. He was using his power for private purposes, and he was even swaggering about, as if he was afraid that others wouldn't know about it. Wu Jing's wish was, she hoped that Song Yi would not marry Wu Xianrou. She did not want the man whom she respected and admired to become like this. Secondly, she hoped that she could climb up the social ladder and did not want to be Song Yi's subordinate anymore. After accepting the plot, Ning Shu's chin hit the mud on the ground. Glancing sideways at Song Yi's expression was incomparably solemn, his thick eyebrows reaching his temples. He looked awe-inspiring and full of a sense of security. Song Yi turned his head and saw Ning Shu staring at him. He gave Ning Shu a look, and Ning Shu immediately focused on the mud. There was a road not far ahead. They had to take care of the people there. There were many people lurking and hiding nearby. Ning Shu's muscles couldn't help but tremble. It was the kind of blood that rushed to his brain for no reason, and his heart was beating rapidly. Ning Shu adjusted his breathing to prevent his body from convulsing. So, she had become a soldier now? To protect the country, for the mission and belief, to exchange her life for the peace and stability of the country. Ning Shu smiled slightly. So, doing missions was very interesting. Role-playing, how interesting. There was the sound of car horns and tires on the ground. Ning Shu pressed his ear to the ground and felt the car getting closer and closer. Song Yi's expression was calm. His eyes were like an eagle's as he stared at the slowly approaching truck. And it wasn't just one truck. There were 3 trucks. Song Yi gestured and assigned tasks. The cars looked a little twisted under the hot air on the road, and a large cloud of dust rose behind them. Ning Shu held the gun. His palms were a little wet and sweaty. The weather was hot, and in this atmosphere, his body couldn't help but sweat. He felt like his body wasn't listening to his command. Ning Shu took a deep breath and inhaled the air full of the smell of earth. The car drove slowly. Suddenly, with a bang, the car at the front had a flat tire. The car in front stopped, and the car behind also stopped. The people in the car got out impatiently to check. The driver stuck his head out and asked the people in front, "What's going on?" The tire was punctured. There must be police. But these criminals were also veterans. They understood the tools on the ground and were vigilant to run. Song Yi pointed at Ning Shu, who was holding a gun. Like everyone else, he quickly rushed towards the road. The driver was running around. Song Yi shouted, "Don't hurt anyone. Try to catch them." Not hurting people was to avoid international disputes. However, these people also had guns on them. They fired at Ning Shu and the others. "Just do it." Song Yi saw these people shoot and said coldly, "You go and check if there are any smuggled goods in the car." Song Yi said to Ning Shu. Then he led the others to block the criminals. Ning Shu took out a small iron wire from the small bag at his waist and was about to open the lock of the truck. Damn it. She didn't seem to have trained this skill. Wu Jing knew this and she was good at picking locks. Ning Shu followed the feeling in the memory of the client and sent the iron wire into the keyhole. Ning Shu got close to the lock, pulsed the iron lock, and released his spiritual power to feel the situation in the lock. With his spiritual power, he could clearly see the situation in the lock and opened it at once. Ning Shu took a long breath and wiped the cold sweat on his head. He thought he couldn't open it. Ning Shu opened the car door. There were all kinds of local specialties and fruits in the car. These things were smuggled in. Ning Shu released his spiritual power and scanned the things one by one. There was nothing in this car. This was the border. If the first car didn't smuggle anything, the people who checked it would be relieved and wouldn't be so serious about the following checks. Ning Shu was afraid of any mistakes, so he checked very carefully. If there was no conclusive evidence, there would be international disputes. Chapter 1727. Ning Shu used the same method to open the lock of the second car. There was still no contraband. There was nothing in the second car. By this time, everyone was basically certain that the third car probably didn't have any contraband goods either. When checking the third car, Ning Shu was unusually serious. He searched the front and back of the car and finally found a heavy powder in a box. It was sandwiched between sanitary pads. Ning Shu opened the sanitary pads one by one and collected the contents. The forest was full of gunshots, which startled the birds. Ning Shu sat in the car and hurried to open the packages. There were even more extreme ones. Some directly turned this thing into a desiccant. This was a bit of a workload. Opening the packages was simply annoying. Ning Shu took out a dagger and began to open the packages. This thing was as expensive as gold and was sold by the gram. The huge profits were unimaginable, which made so many people commit crimes one after another. They knew that it was illegal and criminal. If the business had a profit of 100, it would trample all human laws. If the business had a profit of 300, it would dare to commit any crime, even risking being hanged. If chaos and strife could bring profits, it would encourage chaos and strife. Ning Shu listened to the gunshots as he opened the packages. Song Yi's voice came from the mini walkie-talkie. "Wu Jing, did you find anything?" Ning Shu immediately said, "Yes, there are a lot of them." "Then just kill them." Song Yi's voice sounded very cold. Obviously, this sentence was directed at the other team members. With irrefutable evidence, even if they killed them, they weren't afraid of causing international disputes. Especially since this was the border. It was very chaotic. Ning Shu took photos as evidence while opening the packages. Between countries, no matter what you do, you have to stand on the side of reason. We shout strong condemnation and show a peace-loving image, but we can do whatever we want in private. Thick and dark diplomacy. Ning Shu took out all the things in the car and put them into a bag. Song Yi and the others didn't come back until Ning Shu took out all the things in the car. Some of the team members were injured. There were 6 drivers in 3 cars. 4 were killed and 2 were captured. "How many did you find?" Song Yi's face was painted with colorful paint. Ning Shu lifted the bag. "For now, I only know about 1 kilogram. Song Yi frowned. "So little? As far as I know, this should be a big move. Why is there so little? Boss, is this a vanguard team? They might be probing us." One of the team members said to Song Yi. Song Yi reached out and grabbed the collar of one of the drivers. "Is there another team behind you?" Song Yi spoke in a foreign language. The chauffeur, who was being dragged, hurriedly waved his hand and mumbled something. Ning Shu released his spiritual power and scanned the bodies of these drivers to see if they were carrying anything in their bodies. Many people used their own bodies to transport poison. With Ning Shu's spiritual power, he could see the heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys. He could see the structure of the body clearly. Finally, a lump was found in the direction of the rectum. Stuffing the chrysanthemum, this thing really made people want to suck it. It was wrapped in something with a very good airtight seal. Ning Shu said to Song Yi, "Let's see if there is poison in the body." When the driver heard Ning Shu's words, his face was a little unnatural. Song Yi caught this look. "It seems that there is poison. Who will do it?" Song Yi looked at the 4 corpses and asked his men. Whoever did this kind of thing would be embarrassed and disgusted. The 8 team members, plus Ning Shu and Song Yi, had a total of 10 people. Everyone looked up at the sky, looked at the feet, and groaned with their hands covering their wounds. But no one answered. Song Yi was speechless. He took the gloves and poured a little water on them to lubricate them. Song Yi's hands and feet were neat. He directly took off the dead driver's pants and then inserted a finger into the dead man's chrysanthemum. Ning Shu wanted to give a thumbs up. A soldier's iron bones were unyielding and not afraid of being dirty or tired. But why did he become so brainless after marrying Wu Xianro? He had worn away the temperament of a soldier. It seemed that Song Yi's previous struggles were all to fight for an identity that was worthy of Wu Xianro. The higher the position, the greater the responsibility, and the more cautious one had to be. A decision could have a very big impact. It seemed that Song Yi's promotion was all for the sake of showing off his love with Wu Xianro all day long. Song Yi dug for a while, but in the end he didn't take out anything. His fingers were probably too short to reach the things inside. But the smell was a little unbearable. Ning Shu looked at Song Yi gloatingly. "Forget it. Let's not do it. Inform the border guards to take these things away." Song Yi took off the gloves with filth. Song Yi stared at the two drivers who were still alive. The two drivers couldn't help but clench their buttocks and their chrysanthemums tightened. After playing with the dead, he now wanted to play with the living. It was so scary. The two drivers were talking in a foreign language. Song Yi asked his team members to change the punctured tires and then threw the 4 corpses into the car. No matter what, they had to get the things out. "Boss, we changed the tires," the team members said to Song. Song Yi pulled up his belt. "Let's go." Ning Shu put all the boxes in the back of the car and sat in the car. Song Yi got in the car and sat beside Ning Shu. He hammered his shoulder. When he moved his neck, it made cracking sounds. Except for the team members who were driving in front, everyone sat together to rest. The road was not very smooth. The car was very bumpy and everyone was swaying. After a few days of waiting, everyone was a little tired. Missions were like this. No matter how difficult the environment was, they had to endure it. It was all for the sake of the mission. "Boss, something is wrong this time." "There are too few things," one of the team members said to Song Yi. Song Yi rubbed his face. "I'm afraid we have already alerted the enemy." No one expected such an outcome. Ning Shu said, "We might not be able to complete the mission like this. It should have been a big operation. Just like this, we ended it hastily." Song Yi kicked the driver. "There are still 2 people. Don't alert the enemy. Take the identities of these 6 people and deal with the domestic drug dealers. Even if you can't do a big operation, you have to get some of the domestic criminal organizations out." Hearing Song Yi's words, Ning Shu thought for a moment and said, "It's very dangerous. However, we still have to ask for instructions from the higher-ups. This requires cooperation from many sides. Take the things and deal with them. What happens after that?" On the way, no one was idle. They used all kinds of methods to interrogate the 2 drivers. The 2 drivers spoke in a foreign language and deliberately pretended not to understand. Chapter 1728. Ning Shu rested for a while. She closed her eyes and began to practice her ultimate martial arts. Ning Shu realized that she couldn't use the law of water. It seemed that the suppression in this world was stronger. The modern world was a world without any power system, so the suppression was very strong. Even if she practiced ultimate martial arts, the suppression was very strong. If she was in another world, the power of the sun would have surged into her body. But now, only a small amount of the power of the sun appeared in her body. The suppression was really strong. Ning Shu sighed silently. This was a world of firearms. Countries were competing with nuclear weapons. It seemed that she had to master the skills of the special forces. The car drove for a while and arrived at the place where the border guards were stationed. She drove the car into the military camp. Song Yi got out of the car and said to his team members, "Have a good rest. There are still things to do." Ning Shu and the others bowed to Song. Ning Shu went to a room and washed up. She looked at her face in the mirror. Wu Jing's face was ordinary. Because she was a special forces soldier, her skin was a little rough. She didn't have time to take care of her skin. She looked determined and didn't have the gentleness of ordinary women. Compared to Wu Xianro, Wu Jing was simply a rough man. Perhaps in the eyes of others, Wu Jing was simply a fool's dream when compared to Wu Xianro. Ning Shu patted his face to loosen the muscles on his face and smiled. A person's nobility wasn't because of their face, but because of their soul. Ning Shu had a better impression of Wu Jing than of Wu Xianro. Ning Shu was no longer a person who looked at faces. Everyone liked to look at beautiful things, but a face that aged easily was nothing. Ning Shu smiled at the mirror and sat cross-legged on the small bed. The bed in the guest house was very small. It could only be turned over. Ning Shu touched his chin and thought about the mission. 2 missions. One was to destroy Song Yi and Wu Xianrou. The other was to climb up the ranks. From an objective point of view, Song Yi was not a bad person. He was considerate of his subordinates and did everything himself. He was a responsible soldier. His figure was tall and straight, probably full of muscles. He was a very young officer who had made many contributions and had a bright future ahead of him. After that, he spent all his time in love and became petty. He no longer had the spirit of a soldier. There was nothing wrong with doting on his wife, but using the country's resources for Wu Xianrou to show off every day was also more than enough. Song Yi had not been investigated by the country. This was just a romance world, and all the background had been blurred out. Anyway, in this world, only Song Yi was awesome. Song Yi was willing to bring a large army to help Wu Xianrou suppress the fight between women. He was too fucking crazy. Was Wu Xianrou disabled? Ning Shu pondered as he circulated his peerless martial arts. Since the client didn't want to be Song Yi's subordinate, then he had to do things honestly. Ning Shu even suspected that the reason why Wu Jing wanted to build her career was because she wanted to have the right to talk to Song Yi on an equal footing. She was no longer Song Yi's subordinate. Not only was there love, but there was also a lot of faith. Ning Shu smiled faintly. Wu Jing was a simple girl after all. Her hands were stained with blood for the country and the countless citizens living in the country. It was not easy for a little girl to have such courage and faith. However, it was impossible for Wu Jing to have the happiness of an ordinary girl. An ordinary man would not be able to understand and accept that a girl's hands were stained with blood and she killed people. Ning Shu cast a spell and set up a spirit gathering array, hoping to gather some spirit qi. Spirit qi could repair the body. Ning Shu realized that this body had many hidden injuries. The training of the special forces was tough, and it was harmful to the body. Moreover, there were injuries left from the usual missions. The harsh mission environment was also very harmful to the body. It was not easy to set up the spirit gathering array. Fortunately, this was the border, and there was not much pollution around. There was also a forest, so there was a little bit of spirit qi. A trace of spirit qi flowed in Ning Shu's meridians. Ning Shu used it to repair the hidden injuries in his body. For example, when his period came, the mission required it, even if he was soaked in cold water. His goal was to complete the mission, and he could not be a burden to his comrades. This was a job that consumed his vitality. When he was old, his body would have all kinds of problems. Ning Shu smiled and patted her chest. Wu Jing, you're really good. Moreover, Wu Jing's last mission was indeed because of Song Yi's selfishness. This was an extremely dangerous mission, and the people who went there basically had the mentality that they would die. Song Yi was taking revenge for Wu Xianrou. Trapped in a small love affair, the world would become an incomparably narrow space. Then, they would only be able to see each other and could only stare at each other. The spirit gathering array that Ning Shu set up did not last long before it collapsed. The spirit gathering array did not gather much spirit qi at all. This bit of spirit qi could not even repair the hidden injuries in the body. Ning Shu set up another spirit gathering array. The spirit gathering array did not gather much spirit qi. Ning Shu used it all to repair his body. With the help of the magical power, Ning Shu felt much better. She felt much more comfortable, and the heaviness in her body disappeared. Ning Shu lay on the bed and pulled the quilt over his body, planning to take a nap. After sleeping for a long time, Ning Shu heard a knock on the door. He was originally in a daze, but his brain suddenly woke up and he opened his eyes. He really woke up very quickly. It was his body's instinct. These skills were all trained. Even if he was sleeping, he would wake up at the fastest speed and wake up. It was more painful during training. When you were asked to sleep, you would be woken up when you fell asleep. Moreover, you would not know when he woke you up. It was simply a scam. Ning Shu quickly lifted the quilt and opened the door. It was his teammate, Zhu Yi, who was knocking on the door. You were 2 seconds late in opening the door this time. If the boss finds out, you will have to run another kilometer with weights. Zhu Yi said to Ning Shu with a smug look, as if he would not tell on her if she begged him. Ning Shu asked, "What's the result of the interrogation?" Ning Shu closed the door and went to the office with Zhu. I didn't get anything. Those drivers knew very little. There was not much poison in the 4 corpses and the 2 drivers' bodies. Zhu Yi scratched his head and said, "Our mission this time was a bit dangerous. The higher-ups attached great importance to it. In the end it ended like this. The boss will definitely be reprimanded." Song Yi's subordinates were sincerely convinced by Song Yi as their superior. Song Yi was good to people. Usually, he would take out a part of the reward for completing the mission and give it to everyone. He would also take the lives of the people under him seriously. However, it seemed that all these benefits were given to Wu Xinro after he married her. Marriage changed a person from a person who cared about everyone to a person who only cared about a small family. Chapter 1729. Ning Shu felt that they might have fallen into a trap and been tricked. The other party had either sent an advance team to scout the situation, or they didn't want to take this route. They had been lured away from the mountain. It depended on how the other teams intercepted them. Song Yi's team was not the only special forces team. What does the boss plan to do? Ning Shu asked Zhu. Zhu Yi shook his head. The boss is also bold. I don't know what he wants to do, but he probably wants to make a big profit. Make a big profit? He made it sound like a bandit. A team like theirs was carrying out a mission that the country couldn't publicize. Ordinary people might solve some things unknowingly after a night's sleep. Ning Shu and Zhu Yi went to the office. The group of people had washed up and revealed their original faces. Ning Shu looked at Song Yi. Song Yi was strong and had deep facial features. He looked very safe. In front of Song Yi was a sealed vacuum bag. The bag was filled with poison. Song Yi shook the bag. Just this much. About 3 kilograms. Song Yi rubbed his eyebrows. Ning Shu asked, "Boss, what's the situation with the other teams? Did they intercept them?" Song Yi tapped his finger on the table and narrowed his eyes in thought. His expression was very serious. "I haven't received any news. They probably haven't intercepted them yet." Song Yi slammed the table. If the other teams didn't intercept them, this might be a probing team. We might have alerted the enemy. But boss, the information we received at that time was that this car was right. In the situation at that time, we couldn't just watch the car drive past us, right? Immediately, a team member comforted Song Yi. Song Yi shook his head and waved his hand. It's not that simple. Not only did we alert the enemy, but we might also put some people in danger. Ning Shu pursed his lips. Some people should be people lurking in the criminal organization. If this was really a probing team, then some people were really in danger. And it meant that there was going to be a big move. It was undeniable that some tumors, when moved, even the country had to think twice. So I want to continue. The driver's handover place is in Jinzhou City, Song Yi said. Song Yi gave the task, and his subordinates did not object. They just waited for Song Yi to give the order. Me. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, follow me. As for the rest, those who need to recuperate, those who need to take care of things, take care of things. This number was the code name of the team. Usually, they would address each other as Old 3 and Old 4. Ning Shu saw that he was not there and asked, "Don't I have to go?" Song Yi shook his head. "You don't have to go. Stay here and pay attention to the development of the situation. While you're at it, make a report on this matter. Pay attention to any news from the other teams. We'll keep in touch." Ning Shu nodded. "I understand. There's something I don't know if I should say. If you know it's inappropriate, then don't say it," Song Yi said directly. Ning Shu was speechless. Why didn't they follow the script? Just say it. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush, Song Yi said. Ning Shu. Okay, she was a little weak. I don't know if they did a thorough check on the drivers' bodies. Perhaps there's a tracking device. If the other party found out that these drivers were among the border guards, it would alert the enemy. The equipment and weapons of those criminal groups were all advanced. Song Yi shook his head. No, there's a signal blocking here. Little 9, go and check on the drivers' bodies. Song Yi said to a baby-faced boy. He was old 9 and was a computer expert. He was a powerful hacker. Yes. Little 9 took his laptop and left. Ning Shu said to Song Yi, Captain, I can follow. A few drivers with a prostitute. There's nothing wrong with having fun on the road. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. Old 4, Zhu Yi, immediately nodded. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. This Zhu Yi was good in all aspects, but his only problem was that he liked to have one-night stands. Every time he finished a mission, he would find a woman to relax with. To him, this was his way of releasing stress. Song Yi didn't know how many times he had told Zhu Yi not to mess around and not to violate the military rules. But Zhu Yi still did things his way. It was just that he did it secretly. The missions they carried out were very dangerous. They might even become martyrs. Old 4 felt that he was living a carefree life day by day. Everyone had a way to relax and release stress, but in the team, only Zhu Yi was such a weirdo. Well, there's a prostitute on the way to deliver the goods. Don't draw legs on a snake. Song Yi directly denied Ning Shu. Ning Shu spread out his hands. Little 9 came back with more than 10 things the size of rice grains in his hand. This should be a tracker. So small. Song Yi looked at the tracker and his face sank. There are a lot of good things. Baby-faced Little 9 said, those people who sell drugs are very rich. This kind of thing is not easy to be found. Put it on your body. Song Yi took a tracker and put it on his body. These trackers were dug out from the body and implanted in the body. Old 9 said. Song Yi took the 5 people and drove away. Before leaving, he told Ning Shu to be careful. This is the Border Defense Army. Don't make trouble. Ning Shu nodded, indicating that he understood. After watching the 3 trucks leave, he turned on his computer and reported the incident meticulously. After making the report, he called the other teams to ask about the situation. He hoped that Song Yi's delay was useful. Old 9 has been playing on the computer. Ning Shu leaned over and looked. Which country's network did you invade? No, it's a hacker war. Now they're attacking each other. Old 9 said casually, his eyes staring at the computer. Ning Shu also has a little computer knowledge. With a glance, he knew that they were attacking each other's computers. This is Old 9's way of entertainment. If you don't pay attention, the network may be paralyzed. Ning Shu went to see the 2 drivers who were locked up. When the 2 drivers saw Ning Shu, they immediately shouted at Ning Shu in a foreign language. They asked Ning Shu to let them go. This is the army's confinement room. Ning Shu looked at the 2 people. He scanned the 2 people with his spiritual force over and over again. The things stuffed in their bodies have been taken out. The 2 people's faces are pale. They should have taken laxatives and pooped the things out. Ning Shu asked, is there anything else you haven't told me? No. Ning Shu scanned the 2 people's bodies to see if there was anything left or a bomb. If it exploded in the Border Defense Army, it would become an international joke. Their mission was to protect the country. He didn't find any problems. There's nothing wrong with the 2 people. Chapter 1730. Ning Shu kept in touch with Song Yi and reported the situation of the other teams. Ning Shu said, this must be a test because the other teams didn't intercept anyone. I'm afraid it's a trap set by the criminal group to get rid of the spy. After getting rid of the spy, they didn't have to worry about anything else. He was afraid that the undercover agent was really in danger. They might be forced to take drugs and pass on the message while trembling in fear. Being a spy was not something a human could do. It was a mental torture. If he was not careful, he would lose his life. Everything he did was for his country. It seemed that Wu Jing's work was not that hard. Song Yi pursed his lips tightly and said with a determined expression, report to the higher-ups in my name and send some people to me. We're going to play a dirty game. At least we have to protect some people. Ning Shu nodded and started to report. At the same time, Song Yi applied to the higher-ups. If he knew it would be so troublesome, he wouldn't have hijacked the car. Cunning criminals. These 6 drivers were just throwing stones to test the waters. Ning Shu said to Xiao Jiao, who was holding the computer, "We have to help the captain." Xiao Jiao didn't even raise his head. "Oh, how?" Ning Shu touched his chin and pondered. Yes, he didn't know how to help. And he didn't know where Song Yi and the others were in Jinzhou. Ning Shu thought for a while and went to torture the 2 drivers. He felt that the 2 drivers were outsiders and knew very little. And every time they transported, they would earn tens of thousands of yuan. There were many truck drivers like this who smuggled drugs. All they had to do was to avoid the police. If they were caught, they deserved it. It couldn't shake the foreign criminal group at all. This was a sad thing. The country could only strengthen the crackdown. Otherwise, these things would flow into the country. Ning Shu couldn't do anything else. He could only watch the 2 drivers and look at the 4 bodies, including their clothes, shoes, and skin color. The drug was made in the tropics. That place was wet and humid, a paradise for poppies. In order to make a living, those people worked hard to grow poppies. And these things were used to make drugs. These drivers had very dark skin, like people from tropical places. Ning Shu checked their IDs. Some of the drug traffickers were actually locals with identities overseas. Ning Shu had been paying attention to the situation of the other teams while reporting to Song Yi. Up until now, the other teams had not intercepted anyone. The aviation team was very strict, but they did not find anything unusual. Their success meant that this was a trap. It just so happened that it was in Song Yi's hands. He had to do it. If he didn't do it well, it would be Song Yi's responsibility. If he did it well, he would be rewarded. Ning Shu reported the situation to Song Yi. Song Yi wore a Bluetooth headset and listened carefully to Ning Shu's report. Pay attention to the situation at all times. Ning Shu nodded. The phone in the car rang. Ning Shu said, "It's a call from them. They must have asked me to do something." The call was from the driver. Ning Shu hung up the phone and glanced at Little Nine, who was still playing on the computer. Song Yi followed the instructions of the drug traffickers and went to the designated place to do the handover. During the handover, Song Yi directly shot and killed the drug traffickers and took their suitcases. The suitcases were full of money. At the scene of the firefight, drugs were spilled all over the ground. Song Yi was also shot and escaped under the cover of his teammates. The scene of the chase was as thrilling as The Fast and the Furious. Song Yi was pushed into the hospital. He gritted his teeth and endured the pain as he asked Ning Shu to send the 4 bodies and 2 drivers to the Public Security Bureau in Jinzhou City. The cause of death was a gunfight. It was a criminal gang that wanted to kill another criminal. The driver was a money grubber. After moving the bodies into the car, Ning Shu, Little Nine, and the injured second brother sent the bodies and the 2 drivers to the Public Security Bureau in Jinzhou City. After the handover, Ning Shu and the others went to the Jinzhou hospital to see Song Yi. The bullet in Song Yi's body had been taken out and he was resting in the hospital bed. In addition to Song Yi, the 4th brother, Zhu Yi, was also injured. The 2 beds were separated by a curtain. Ning Shu asked, "How's your body?" Song Yi said as if nothing had happened, "I'm fine." "How can you be fine? It hurts so much." Zhu Yi immediately shouted. He didn't have Song Yi's patience at all. Ning Shu just said, "If you're injured, you can rest well and take care of your body." Even if he was a soldier, there were people who liked to indulge. Zhu Yi was that kind of person. Zhu Yi looked at Ning Shu. "I know you don't like me. I'm not like your Song Yi. Officer Song is clean and honest. I didn't ask you to like me." Ning Shu glanced at Zhu. What was wrong with him? Why was he so angry? As for the words, "your Song Yi," that Zhu Yi said, Ning Shu didn't hear it. Officer Song is clean and honest. You're in the right. I admire Officer Song. What's wrong with that? Ning Shu looked at Zhu Yi expressionlessly. How could you joke about the client's feelings? Zhu Yi shrugged. Well, I was wrong. Zhu Yi turned his back to Ning Shu. Song Yi rubbed his eyebrows. Why didn't you hug each other and cry after the mission was completed? Why did you quarrel first? Ning Shu apologized. I didn't pay attention to what I said and affected the unity. Was there something wrong with her words? There was nothing wrong with it. Ning Shu's apology made Zhu embarrassed. He felt that he was competing with a woman. I was just joking with you. Ning Shu just rolled his eyes. After staying in the hospital in Jinzhou for a few days, Song Yi and Zhu Yi were sent to the military hospital. The others also returned to the army. After completing a mission, they had to rest for a while. Otherwise, their bodies couldn't stand it. As Song Yi was injured, Song Yi's superior personally came to the hospital to visit him. Yes, this superior would be Song Yi's father-in-law. Ning Shu sat beside Zhu Yi's bed and peeled an apple. He looked at the people surrounding Zhu Yi's bed. One of them was a man in his 50s. He had a dignified aura. He was Wu Xinrou's father. His attitude towards Song Yi was very gentle. It was obvious that he thought highly of Song Yi. Zhu Yi and Ning Shu shook their heads. You have no chance. I heard that political commissar Wu has a daughter. It seems that he wants to betroth his daughter to leader. Everyone in the team knew about Wu Jing's feelings for Song Yi, except for little Jiao, whose lover was the computer. Ning Shu peeled the apple calmly. He didn't care at all. Zhu Yi moved his legs. Seeing Ning Shu like this, he said, You really don't care at all? Ning Shu looked at him from the corner of his eyes. You underestimate my feelings for Song Yi. It's not just a simple love for each other. It's a comrade in arms, respect, and a noble belief. Chapter 1731. Zhu Yi rolled his eyes at Ning Shu's impassive words. Keep pretending. I heard that political commissar Wu's daughter is a beauty. Aren't you worried at all? Zhu Yi was bored lying on the hospital bed. Then he insisted on basing his happiness on other people's pain. Ning Shu stuffed an apple into Zhu Yi's mouth. Be honest and don't throw salt into other people's hearts. Unfortunately, your leg is only fractured. Why isn't it broken? Zhu Yi was speechless. You're basing your happiness on other people's pain too. Wave after wave of people came to see Song Yi. Some gave him flowers, while others gave him fruits. They probably smelled something fishy and came in advance to curry favor. However, these fruits were all wiped out by the team members. Song Yi's subordinates came to see their superior and brought some fruits over. They would only leave after eating them. They even casually said that their boss had enough fruits to last them for a year. Song Yi was expressionless. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't get out of bed, he would have kicked each of them. The friendship between men was nothing more than carrying guns together, squatting in the warehouse together, going to prostitutes together, sharing stolen goods together, and being gay together. Song Yi and his subordinates had a strong brotherhood. However, later on, Song Yi was promoted step by step and didn't do much missions. His subordinates were assigned to other teams and scattered. Some people were too disappointed and chose to transfer to other teams. After Song Yi got married, most people didn't recognize him anymore. Ning Shu sat on the chair beside Song Yi's bed and peeled an orange. He asked Song Yi, Are you going to marry Wu Xinrou? Ning Shu asked very calmly, but the team members around him quieted down and stared at Ning Shu and Song Yi. Song Yi froze for a moment and shook his head with a smile. Where did you hear this from? Boss, this matter has spread throughout the compound. Political Commissar Wu also mentioned it before. I don't know if he was joking or serious, Zhu Yi chattered on. Song Yi shook his head. Where did this come from? Political Commissar Wu wouldn't marry his daughter to someone like me who's in a precarious situation. Don't talk nonsense in the future. Song Yi would never speak blindly about things that were not certain. Ning Shu handed the peeled tangerine to Song Yi. Song Yi took the tangerine and thanked her. Actually, this is basically a done deal. I heard that political commissar Wu's daughter has returned to China for a while. It seems that you two will definitely get married, Ning Shu said as he peeled an orange and ate it. Zhu Yi continued, She's also a girl who has been abroad. Can she really bear the loneliness of being a military wife? People like us should marry a wife who understands the big picture. Zhu Yi said. Knowing the big picture depends on you. Do you still want to be indifferent to the big picture? A team member teased Zhu Yi. If I have a wife, I won't look for other women. Ning Shu smacked his lips. The oranges were really sweet. After eating, she put down the orange peel and said faintly, as far as I know, Miss Wu is the kind of girl who doesn't eat the food of mortals. She has never suffered since she was young. So, she's a fairy concubine? Zhu Yi asked curiously. However, Ning Shu asked with bad intentions, how did you know so much about Miss Wu? Ning Shu glanced at Zhu Yi from the corner of his eyes. Zhu Yi shrugged his shoulders and said, go on, go on. Ning Shu continued, girls who don't have to worry about food and clothing value love more and enjoy romance. If the captain wants to marry Miss Wu, you need to spend more time with her, and love her wholeheartedly. You need to accompany her in her pretentious life. Love was the most important thing. Song Yi rubbed his eyebrows and said, who said that the political commissar is going to marry his daughter to me? It's not even set in stone yet, and you guys are talking nonsense. Miss Wu should come and fight with me. As soon as Song Yi finished speaking, the door of the ward was suddenly opened. Everyone turned to look at the door. A girl was standing at the door. She was not very tall, and her soft hair was slightly curly. Her big eyes were full of spirit. She was like a beautiful and delicate doll. People couldn't help but want to protect her. She deserved the best in the world. Who is Song Yi? Wu Xinro stood at the door and glanced at the people in the room. Hearing that Song Yi was injured, Wu Xinro frowned when she saw Zhu Yi. He looked shifty. This was the person that her father forced her to marry. Hot eyes. Wu Xinro ignored Zhu Yi and looked at the other injured person. Well, he was ugly. Wu Xinro finally looked at Song Yi. You are Song Yi. Wu Xinro walked into the ward and went to the bedside. She looked Song Yi up and down. Song Yi was the only good-looking person in the room. Song Yi was the most handsome person in the entire team. Yes, I am Song Yi. Song Yi guessed who this girl was. Then I will tell you directly today. I will not marry you. Even if my father forces me to marry you, I will not marry a soldier barbarian. Wu Xinro was straightforward. Very straightforward. The words, soldier barbarian, made everyone in the room frown. Ning Shu ate an orange and looked at Wu Xinro. This kind of girl was obviously well protected by her family. All the cruelty and darkness in the world seemed to be insulated from her. Compared to Wu Xinro, Wu Jing was simply an ugly executioner with hands full of blood. But some things had to be done by people. Someone had to lose their innocence and beauty to protect the beauty and safety of the majority. Ning Shu laughed in his heart and said to Song Yi, boss, the girl doesn't like you. When he saw Wu Xinro, Ning Shu knew why Song Yi liked Wu Xinro. Everyone liked what they didn't have. Song Yi was someone who had been through a storm of bullets. His eyes were full of blood and death. Wu Xinro was pure, beautiful, peaceful, and peaceful. She was probably what Song Yi longed for. Song Yi and Wu Jing were the same people. They lived the same life. When they were together, they saw each other as if they were looking at themselves. When they saw the bloody scene, they felt like they were on a mission at any time. There was a reason why people of the same profession were not suitable to be husband and wife. Ning Shu deliberately said that Wu Xinro didn't like Song Yi, and the others followed suit. Boss, you have to work hard to get Miss Wu. Make Miss Wu kneel at your feet. Wu Xinro rubbed her ears. She couldn't stand the noise. Especially when these soldier barbarians were slapping things when they were talking. They had no manners at all. This was a ward. If his subordinates were like this, Song Yi wasn't any better. Song Yi had been with his subordinates for several years. When these people raised their butts, he knew that they wanted to do something. Chapter 1732. Song Yi looked at his rowdy subordinates and said to Wu Xinro, sorry, they're used to rowdy people. Not to mention whether he would marry Wu Xinro or not, they probably wanted to break up the wedding. Wu Xinro was not satisfied with Song Yi's explanation. She frowned and said, Dad said that you're a strict person who has made great contributions. You're just a bunch of brutes. Wu Xianro was really a straightforward girl. She said whatever she wanted to say. She didn't care about the people in the room and directly called them brutes. She suddenly understood that Song Yi was always supporting Wu Xianro and putting out fires. With such a simple-minded personality, he had directly offended the other party. He let people target her. Then, Song Yi drove the plane and tanks and led the army to give Wu Xianro a chance to show off. Sister-in-law, you're really interesting. We're all rough men, but our boss is an upright and gentle man, Zhu Yi said ambiguously. Wu Xianro didn't care about Zhu Yi at all. She looked at Song Yi and said, Song Yi, I don't like you. I have no feelings for you, so I won't marry you. I hope you can explain it to my dad. Song Yi was speechless. This girl, I'm talking to you. Do you agree or not? Wu Xianro stomped her feet and asked Song Yi. Song Yi nodded. I will explain it to your dad. Song Yi nodded and agreed so easily. Wu Xianro's expression was a bit strange. He agreed so quickly that she didn't know how to describe it. Then you have to remember your promise. Wu Xianro turned and left the ward. Everyone in the room stared at Song Yi. Song ate oranges leisurely. Why are you looking at me? Boss, are you really going to marry that girl? Zhu asked Song Yi. Song Yi smiled. I said it's a rumor. It's over. Your smile looks like you like that girl. She looks really young. I'm talking about her mental age, the kind that is full of a young girl's heart. Zhu Yi shook his head and said. Song Yi stopped smiling. Ning Shu really wanted to give Zhu Yi 2 big slaps. Wu Xianro's appearance really made people's eyes light up. Those spoiled girls didn't look like big problems at all. Instead, they looked cute. The one who had the looks would have the world. If Ning Shu had been so pretentious, she reckoned that everyone in the room would have vomited on her. It doesn't matter if you're ugly, but you mustn't act like one. Ning Shu touched his chin and said to Song Yi, Sir, if you really want to marry Miss Wu, you have a lot of things to consider. Ning Shu stretched out a finger. First, Miss Wu is only 25 years old. Sir, you are 33 years old now. If you find a younger girl, you will have to spend more time guiding her. Secondly, based on what I just saw, Wu Xianro is an innocent child who grew up in care. She has a great fantasy about love. It is said that marriage is the grave of love. Marriage can't be romantic all the time. Third, sir, you have so much time to accompany Miss Wu. If this is the case, you won't have enough time to do the mission. You have to give up some of your time. From now on, you are no longer the country's Song Yi, but Wu Xianro's husband. Ning Shu's mouth was dry. He ate a piece of orange to relieve the dryness. Many people in the room looked at Ning Shu. Zhu Yi said, You are also a little girl. You speak like an old man, as if you have experienced it before. Ning Shu said reservedly, I haven't eaten pork, but haven't I seen a pig run? Song Yi put down the orange peel. It seems that you don't like that little girl? Xiao Jiao, who had been looking at his girlfriend playing with the computer, finally looked up and said to Song Yi, She doesn't know when to stop and when to retreat. Such a girl is not suitable for people like us. We have to do the mission assigned to us by the country, and we have to worry about coaxing her. It's not suitable. Even Xiao Jiao could understand. Song Yi couldn't help laughing and said, Look at your serious faces. It seems that I am going to marry that girl tomorrow. Ning Shu sighed in his heart. If Song Yi refused, he would offend Wu Xianro's father. He thought so highly of you and even wanted to marry his daughter to you. How could you not know what was good for you and refuse? Don't you have any eyesight? It was very easy to create some obstacles in the officialdom if one wanted to make things difficult for them. There were many reasons for this marriage. Song Yi rubbed his eyebrows. You guys are worrying about me. Go find a wife first. When you ask for leave and go back for a blind date, you will definitely find a wife. Everyone said casually. After Wu Xianro came, the atmosphere in the ward was a bit depressed. They all found excuses to leave one after another. Song Yi wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Then there were only 4 people left in the ward. There were 3 injured people and Ning Shu. The ward was very quiet. Ning Shu poured a glass of water for his second brother. Song Yi looked at Ning Shu and said, "Weren't you very talkative just now? Why are you all mute now? Zhu, you and Wu Jing are always together. Why aren't you saying anything now?" Zhu Yi, "Boss, I am a patient. It is not good for me to talk too much." Ning Shu took a sip of water and said, "What do you want me to say? I feel like you guys are all mute." Song Yi couldn't help but say. Ning Shu smiled slightly. "It is because they feel a bit sad. Our respected officer humiliated us for a woman he met for the first time. Maybe it was unintentional, but the officer didn't say anything for us." Song Yi immediately said, "In my heart, of course you are more important. You are the ones who will live and die with me. She is just a little girl." Ning Shu didn't say anything. He ate the orange and thought for a while before saying, "Actually, there are benefits to marrying Wu Xianro." "Officer, you should be able to go one step further. No matter what position I am in, I am working for the country," Song Yi said casually. Ning Shu gave Song Yi a thumbs up. "That is quite selfless." Song Yi smiled. "There's no such thing as being selfless. If I stand a little higher, I'll get a little more prize money. At that time, we'll be able to share a little more." Ning Shu sighed in his heart. He was a bit melancholy. After talking for so long, Song Yi was also tired. Ning Shu shook the bed and laid it flat. He pulled the quilt for Song. Zhu Yi looked at Ning Shu and said, "You really put in a lot of effort to prevent the officer from marrying that little girl." Ning Shu put his hand on Zhu Yi's leg. Zhu Yi immediately waved his hand and said, "Don't be like this. I am just saying. The officer doesn't like you, so you are his subordinate. If there is a spark between the two of you, you won't be silent for so many years." Ning Shu knew. Wu Jing also knew. Chapter 1733. Wu Jing knew very well that Song Yi didn't like her. Her wish was to prevent Song Yi from marrying Wu Xianro, not to be with Song Yi. Because she knew that Song Yi didn't like her. There were some things that couldn't be forced. Zhu Yi said, "We are all people with blood on our hands. Wu Zheng's daughter is pure and lovely. You have no chance." Ning Shu glanced at Song Yi, who was sleeping with his back to them. He pointed at Zhu Yi's plaster leg and said, "Everyone knows that. Don't you know that the boss doesn't like me? She likes him, but she wants him to be well. I'm not optimistic about Wu Xianro. Wu Xianro is favored by God. She can get everything easily. I'm afraid that if something happens to Wu Xianro when the boss is on a mission, the boss may not care about the mission anymore." Zhu Yi didn't believe him and said, "It can't be that bad. Although she is a little spoiled, she can't be so insensible. You know that there are thousands of people behind us. Once we retreat," Ning Shu said carelessly, "in some people's hearts, love is everything. When their parents are dead, they can get through any difficulties. But once they are abandoned by their lover, the sky falls down and they can't live anymore. Blah 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 blah. The hormones completely control the brain. They are brainless." Zhu Yi blinked and said, "The boss won't become so brainless, right?" "I don't know about that," Ning Shu said directly. The premise of love was to be a complete person with independent dignity and personality. It was not unprincipled to accommodate the other party. It didn't even matter if it was right or not. Love was so deformed that it had to be spoiled. Ning Shu knew that Song Yi was not asleep and deliberately said this. Ning Shu always felt that this task was a bit mysterious. The pull of fate was not a joke. There were many external reasons to force Song Yi to marry Wu Xianro. Wu Xianro was not willing to marry a strange man, a man who had no feelings for her at all. After getting married, they pretended for a long time. Song Yi was not the kind of person who would understand a little girl. Then the two people were slowly attracted to each other and fell in love. First, they fell in love after marriage, which was very sweet. Wu Xianro's life as a crippled rice worm began. Song Yi really couldn't bear to part with his little wife. He couldn't bear to train her in the same cruel way he trained his subordinates. He couldn't bear to be strict with her, just like how he was strict with his subordinates. From Ning Shu's analysis of the plot, he didn't know why Song Yi couldn't raise his head when facing Wu Xianro. As for Wu Xianrou, she had a sense of superiority when facing Song Yi. She had said more than once that she didn't want to marry Song Yi, this soldier barbarian. Wu Xianrou didn't do anything all day. Instead, she attracted hatred everywhere. All the women in the world were jealous of her and hated her. Song Yi, on the other hand, had changed from a special forces soldier to a firefighter, fighting fires all day long. He didn't know how long he could hold it in. Song Yi felt that this girl, who had never suffered before, should be doted on after marrying him. He didn't dare to show the wounds on his body, for fear of scaring the delicate girl. Ning Shu, motherfucker. Since when did not suffer hardship become an advantage? So what if you've never suffered hardship? People should give in to you just because you've never suffered hardship. Song Yi protected the country and risked his life for it. He should hold his head high in front of Wu Xianrou. A hypocritical person like Wu Xianrou should be thrown into the battlefield to feel the pain of bullets drilling into her body. She should feel the taste of death and fear. No matter how hypocritical she was, it was not worth mentioning in the face of survival. Ning Shu sighed and said with some melancholy, "I think our team should be disbanded." Zhu Yi was a little surprised. "Where did this come from? You're leaving?" "No, I still want to dedicate the rest of my life to the country. I mean, if the boss and Wu Xianrou get married, our team will definitely have fewer missions. We can only split up and go to other teams," Ning Shu said directly. He didn't intend to save face for Song Yi. "It's just a marriage. You make it sound so serious." Zhu Yi shook his head. "The boss is the boss. He's not the kind of person who would put his work aside for personal reasons." Ning Shu grinned. "I'm afraid you'll be surprised in the future." Ning Shu said indifferently, "I've observed Wu Xianrou. She's the kind of girl who has a little temper. If the boss is always busy with missions, she will definitely make a scene and force the boss to make a choice. Do you want to work or do you want me? She's using this method to verify her love." Zhu Yi said, "Are you sure you're not slandering Miss Wu for personal reasons? You make it sound like it's true." Ning Shu, "Am I that kind of person? I don't have to slander someone. I'm making a reasonable deduction. If I'm wrong, and if Miss Wu is a magnanimous person, I'll go and apologize to Miss Wu. I'll directly kneel in front of her and apologize." Second brother, who was on the next bed, said, "I agree with little Ten. Miss Wu is very cute, but she's not suitable to be a military wife." Ning Shu smiled. "See, even second brother agrees with me." Second brother was the oldest in the team. He was quite dignified in the team. Other than the captain, Song Yi, everyone listened to him. Zhu Yi spread his hands. "Okay, what's the use of saying so much? If the boss likes her and insists on marrying Miss Wu, what can you do? Besides, this is the boss's private matter." Ning Shu pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Yes, if they wanted to get married, they couldn't stop them. It was clearly a twisted relationship. One side was endlessly giving and tolerating, while the other side was desperately demanding. They could both walk a long path. This mission was very mysterious. Ning Shu stayed in the hospital to take care of the 3 injured people. And Wu Xianrou actually came every day to deliver flowers and fruits. When they arrived at the hospital, they all had an impatient look on their faces, as if they were being forced. "If my father didn't ask me to come, I wouldn't have come. When can you tell my father that we won't get married?" Wu Xianrou said to Song Yi. Song Yi said helplessly, "You have to let me recover first." Wu Xianrou was speechless. Her impression of Song Yi was even worse. Her anger was stuck in her chest and she felt very uncomfortable. "Then tell my father. If you tell my father clearly, I won't come back to bother you," Wu Xianrou muttered. She knew that she was being unreasonable, but she still said it in a spoiled manner. It was very cute. Ning Shu said, "Why don't you tell your father, Miss Wu?" Wu Xianrou turned her head and looked at Ning Shu. She looked at Ning Shu from head to toe. Ning Shu was wearing a camouflage uniform and dark green military shoes. His hair was combed meticulously. If his hair was loose, it would affect his vision. She was just an unfashionable female soldier with dark skin. She couldn't be considered beautiful, You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.